Sorry.
I love that song. Hey everybody, this is Gerard and Jonathan and Christine and Susan. Welcome back to another episode of There's something wrong with me. I don't know. I'm working on it. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Let's pretend like we weren't talking for like an hour just before this.
Right.
Hey, nice to see you guys again.
We got some of our regulars watching us. So that's
Yeah.
You know what? I posted the link for Twitch.
cool.
So the link for Twitch is out there too. It would be good to pull people from some of the big platforms and spread them around a little bit like butter.
Yeah.
Spread them around, not just YouTube. So I put Twitch. I was going to do Periscope, but I think Periscope they said is going away.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think they said Periscope. They didn't make the big tech cut, so they're going to cut them out. You guys
There is
have-
a new platform. Which that the new platform from Lee Camp he was talking about with another lady. I forgot the name. A total new platform.
Right.
But
oh yeah,
away from Google and YouTube, so away from the big tech.
Mm.
So
you got to go
totally
to medium
independent.
tech. Definitely got to go to medium tech or little weenie tech. One or the other, but we got to get away from big tech.
Mhm.
Little weenie tech.
that was Lori.
Little weenie energy.
Little weenie. Nothing wrong with little weenie. You got to sometimes help the little guy out. You can't just, your size, they can't always matter. You got to use other
Size
people's
doesn't
social
matter.
medias. You gotta sometimes give a little guy a shot. Where did that come from? That was Lori. That was Lori's father. We used to call her
We're
Little
all
Weenie.
glitching on that one.
Huh?
It was just me glitching.
No, that was just you glitching.
Oh,
Yeah.
why am I frying out my Wi-Fi? Frying out my Wi-Fi for a half hour.
I don't know.
Let me move
I don't
back.
It might be that might help. Let's see if that helps. No, who's that? Diane said thought we were at the border. I don't know where you get these rumors from, Diane. You shouldn't follow rumors.
We're at the border.
Ain't nothing at the border but cartels. You'd be a fool to go down by the border. That's crazy. Only crazy people do that, Diane.
Only dumb people do that.
All these people stupid enough to vote for corporate criminals and corporations that pretending to be governments and police states and war criminals to write their laws. Only people. No,
Gerard's a coyote.
Oh no, that's not coyote. You mean coyote? Right.
Yeah.
Don't say
Drive
that.
around in an Acme truck.
Don't even joke like that. This is America. They'll put you in prison for thinking about doing a crime.
They'll put you in prison for thinking, period.
Listen, look.
Thought crime.
If you were walking your dog and your dog takes a poop, you better make sure you follow township laws, pick up the poop, and if you got to use your face diaper to do it, do it. What a horrible video. That made my night. To watch a woman, her dog took a poop and she took her face diaper off, picked the poop up, put the poop in the trash, put the face diaper. Well, she reversed it though. Did you see that? She reversed it. So the poop wasn't on the inside, it was on the outside. So she was fulfilling township laws and regulations and federal laws and regulations. So it was good.
Good citizen. A really
Good citizen.
Model
Good
citizen.
citizen.
Right there.
Hashtag we're all gonna die.
Oh, we all gonna die. We walk around with dog doodle on face diapers and regurgitation from lungs and all of that works and is moist and working together and people don't wash these things. They're gonna cultivate the new plague. They're gonna, what is it? Captain Trips from the Stephen King novel. They're gonna make Captain Trips from it. And it's going to come from a chihuahua, from somebody. Well, what happened to the humans? Oh, they died. All of them died. All 7 billion of them. Because a
They're
lady
picking
picked
up
up
a
a
poop
chihuahua.
with their mask and breathing it in. I don't know what happened.
It was the perfect storm of laws from the federal and the local level. And and all the humans died. Every last one of them.
Right.
All right, this is not ancient wisdom. I have
Yeah, I
no
was
idea. What this
Right.
I don't know what's going
We've
on.
only got one direction to go from here, and that's up.
Yeah. Oh my
I know.
God. Long way to get up to.
Mhm.
We gotta bring it in because I don't know what's going on at all anymore, and this kind of is the only thing I know that is real.
It's good. See, government, they have no damn clue what's going on. Corporations have no clue. I think the bankers are fighting. I don't think anybody has a clue. I think they're just throwing darts at the board, just throwing them at the wall.
Mhm. Mhm.
Everybody's guessing. So, this is a good segue into ancient wisdom. Knowing we don't know a damn thing, but we all pretending.
Yeah.
All right.
So what are we're gonna start off doing a little reading
should I start,
today? Do we have
or,
an entry? What do we
yeah.
have? So, an intro? What are we
This
gonna do?
is, I'm gonna read some from another of Grace Cook's. Grace Cook, if you guys remember, we read from the Illumined Ones. There we go. When was that? A few weeks ago, I think. And that was about her past life memories in Egypt and in South America among the Maya. And this is not her past lives, but a book of her visions of ancient lithic sites in Britain. Stonehenge, Avebury, the Chalk Horse at Whittington, the Silversmith of Souls, some places that are definitely off the radar, but definitely on the radar for like Stonehenge and Avebury. Those are very famous locations. I thought I'd read the chapter on Stonehenge and see what she has to say about that.
Can we take a step back for a moment?
Sure.
And open up a question, because every now and then new people walk through and they get,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
what
good,
are y'all,
well thought of, Gerard. Yeah.
I mean, what do you guys think when what did you think maybe a long time ago or now or whatever, when you hear about past life? What is it called? Past life regression? What is it called when you recall your past lives?
Regression.
Past life regression, yeah.
Regression. What do you guys think about that? Or what did you think about it when you first heard of it, and what do you think about it now?
I think we start to remember that stuff when we need to.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was never strange to me.
Yeah.
I cannot remember. I never found it strange, because I remember I was very, very young, like little child, and I said to my mother, Mom, I was looking in the mirror and just maybe for the first time be aware how I was looking. I said, Mom, I don't have black hair. What happened to my hair? Something I said like that.
Right.
So my mother said,
and that was
always had white hair, blonde
similar
hair.
to Elizabeth H's experience in the early chapters of Initiation. When she describes her childhood, she has these real strong convictions that she's in someone else's body, and that who she really is someone completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's someone who has developed themselves in previous lives to the point where the veil that separates us from the consciousness of our own soul is thinner. And I think that, speaking for myself, when I meditate, when I sit with my journal or, whatever, sometimes I have feelings really of familiarity or flashes of particular scenes or particular scenarios where I'm at a certain place or with certain people and doing certain things in ancient places or not so ancient places. So, I think that, and of course you don't know if that is really the case until you sit down and really investigate it, Yeah. So.
I'm going to play Paul Bradley for a second. Are but I'm gonna be it in a nice way. Is there any evidence? Is there any scientific evidence? Any studies that have been done? Any books that have been written that show that people actually remember things from previous lives that they probably shouldn't have known, or houses they lived in, anything like
What do
that
you think?
you're aware of?
There are even documentaries about it.
Yeah, there's plenty of stories, but as far as scientific research into it, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about the scientific research, but there's
Yeah.
many documentaries and stuff. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like saying, you know, people thought of quantum physics in multiple realms and everything, right? And it was crazy. There was no science research. Now there's science research that proves it. So,
My
you know what I mean?
My guru said, not to me, but about few and like persons also, you have been this person in that life, you have been that person in that life. And there's one young guy, he was there, and he was, according to her, like Rubens in his life before. So, yeah, they can see that. I mean, they can really see that. And yeah, there's so many proof actually. And also children, sometimes there was one documentary on a child was remembering how it died in his life before. And they went to look at how his person in another life died. And they were looking for the evidence and they could find the evidence because it totally was correct what he told.
See, you guys are more credible than me. People know I'm crazy anyway, so I believe wild things. But I'll tell you what I think. When people get other folks' organs, there have been proven examples that they got the memories of the other person, that they got the experiences of the other person, right? There was one murder case that was solved where it was a rape and a murder, and the crime was solved because the person, after getting a transplant from a murder victim, remembered what happened. And so to me, that solves the question is whether or not there's any scientific evidence, because if what we are is stored in cellular memory, if it's broadcast and it's picked up by receptors, if there's an ethos, a consciousness, I mean, I think a lot of people believe a lot of different things, but if you can prove that memory isn't just in here, memory is elsewhere, then can you have past lives? Could you pick up on information from a past life and look different? Possibly. Could you have black hair? Could you be a black sexy dude in Africa? Who said that? Right, Riz?
Riley.
You pick up on that transmission. I think everything is possible.
And also when we visit places or smells can trigger memories. When I traveled to Ireland and I went to Newgrange, for example, I felt very strongly that I had been there. And Newgrange, for those of you that don't know, is it's part of a larger complex of 3 chambers that are the Newgrange is aligned to the sunrise of the winter solstice. I'm convinced that that chamber, that Newgrange, was an initiation site for rebirth. For, if you want to call it a mystery school, sure, I don't have any problem with that at all. But Newgrange is, I don't know what the scientists give the dates for it, but I expect it's much, much older than they give it credit for, just like the pyramids.
Yeah, just like almost everything.
Like almost everything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I remember
Yeah.
when I first visited the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
I really started crying aloud, and I didn't know what happened to me. So people were looking what happened to that woman.
Right.
So it must have been something. Then I thought, it must have been something from a life before. Maybe I was because I think I was a refugee of Europe, and I came with a boat. But that's all I could link to my crying. it was just a statue. I mean, yeah, and just went to visit it, just to see it like everybody did. But yeah, the crying came very unexpectedly, because I don't. I mean, if I cry, if I know I'm going to cry, I don't want anybody to see it. Actually, I'm a little bit shy, but it just happened, like it
Yeah.
came out. And it also happened once in Hawaii. Like I was at a southern place and I was alone and I started crying. It was like something opened my heart, but it could be the energy. Maybe
Could
not
be.
related.
Yeah,
It's
sure,
more the energy.
sure.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say that our DNA, right, holds like, I mean, it holds more information than the biggest computer can.
Yeah. I think from the first
Right.
life till the last life. I mean,
Right.
till now.
So
Mhm.
yeah. So I think, I mean, you know, like they're after our DNA, right? Because it holds information like incredibly. It holds the history of the world in your DNA. So
Oh, that's why I love y'all. Oh, I
your
love
past
y'all.
lives come
Weird.
back.
I love because y'all like read weird stuff like me. I love it. Oh, your minds are so delicious and sexy. I just want to just take the brain, put them on plates with some basil and just eat it all up. Oh, Susan, going with that. So here's the thing: is we get lost in what things are called.
Sure.
And we live in a time to say, oh, well, past life regression, I believe that or I don't believe that. What if we just don't understand what it is? What if it is DNA memory? What if it is, water holds memory? What if it is a transmission? What if we are all the one? We're all a part of soul. We're not disconnected, in any real sense. And that when we come back, we just remember different things, or we pick it up from what we touch, or like Jonathan said, what we smell. Don't get lost in what people call stuff, right? We're people, all right? We all have our own little experiences and our own little ignorant little monkey world and where we are with things, right? But just process that there's scientific evidence behind all of it. And no one really knows. That's why I love being alive right now, because I know a bunch of weirdos like me, number one. And two, because there's so much out there proving that we aren't as smart as what we've always thought we are. That the ancients were much more connected to some old ancient religion, spiritual understanding, quantum physical thing that we've forgotten.
Right.
And it's amazing. That's why I wanted to ask you guys that question. I think sometimes we jump off and run, and it's like aliens and this, that, and the other, and people, they kind of get lost in, but if we talk about where we are in terms of modern science, there are a lot of doors that have been opened up, and we don't have to take firm positions. Oh, I believe this or I don't believe this because of what it's called. I believe that something is there, and I don't have my finger on it, but there's something to it. So when you read stuff like that, Jonathan, it's exciting to me, right? Because it's a part of the research in trying to understand, some things that not only that we've forgotten, but experiences we as the one have had in different bodies in previous times.
Well, also too, right? I forget who it was, Aristotle, Socrates, one of them. That learning isn't really learning; it's remembering, right?
Plato,
So it's like tapping into what you already know, what is already in your DNA, what the information that's already inside you. And it's just that something in the outside world kind of triggers that memory.
Well, no, it does. It does. That takes me to the mouse research, right? Where, what was it? They took the mouse, and I say this a million times. They took the mouse and they wanted it to stop eating a certain berry that was a crop. And so they took the mother mouse and they would, I guess, give it the scent of the berry. And every time it got the scent of the berry, they'd shock it. And so eventually, anytime the mother mouse smelled that berry, it would run the other way. And so then the mouse had babies. And the baby, and this was like a staple food of theirs. But when the baby smelled that berry, they also ran away. So the mother handed down a previous life regression. They handed down memory to the next generation to avoid that berry. And so I'm saying that to say, so could a scent trigger a memory from another being? Well, if you accept that we're all a one, and we're all a part of this consciousness, there are no other beings. It's all you anyway. And so if they've proven that scientifically, then of course ascent could trigger that you tap into that, that card catalog database table in the Akashic record and pull down information about whether you should be scared of a bear, if that's bear scat, whether you should be scared of the wolf. So, I love it. It's delicious. It's delicious.
I'm going to be a little negative for a second because I'm sorry. Half the people on this planet, I ain't related to them.
I agree with you. You're not. You are them.
No, I'm not.
You are them. I know you're not related at all. Y'all are the same thing. The same energy vibration. Yes, everybody.
I'm turning on the ancient wisdom now.
No, you can turn on anything you want. The lady that just took that chihuahua poop and put it in her face and whatever, face diaper and all that, she is you.
We ain't sharing nothing.
She's sharing everything right now. She's resonating in your brain, coming back to you. We are all connected. That's Sister Baba Lip, and she got a Baba Lip thing on her lip, all that, and she got her face diaper. But no, we're all connected. I know you don't want to be Susan. You don't have to. We're all in this together. We all going to drown and thrive together. We don't have a choice. We don't get to pick and choose. I know the left drive me up a wall when the right ain't driving me up a wall, but we are all one. We're having experience. We literally probably chose them to do that to teach us something.
Yes.
The yin and the yang. Christine, I know you can hit that. You can hit that one hard. I let you
I'm hard-headed. It takes me a while to learn a lesson.
Separation isn't because it'll be me tomorrow. Like, hell no, I don't know him.
I know my source of
No.
That means supposed to having combo. You don't want that there.
Oh my
God. We're queens. We're Leos. We don't relate to that kind of people.
Well, maybe she just knew she was a goddess, right? Maybe she knew that her. Maybe they said that you could dance with snakes and nothing to kill you, the poison won't get you, the scriptures that say that. Maybe she knew you could dance with chihuahua poo in your face diaper. Yeah. Maybe she's just a powerful creature, Susan, that you should look up to.
Yeah, a goddess wouldn't muzzle herself. That's
right.
Ooh.
All right. Sorry for being me.
This is an apocalypse. Y'all are way too happy. You're supposed to be sad, scared.
She's a good person doing her part to protect Grandma.
Grandma gonna die no matter what you do. How the system works. Grandmama's supposed to die. That's how the system works.
Yeah.
Let's just keep her around long as we can.
All right. Should I start?
Maybe it's a good idea.
But Marianne just posted something that got
Who did?
Same with the monkey banana torture experience. Y'all know something about the monkey banana? Did they torture monkeys?
Yeah, I know.
They torture Americans with Big Macs.
They do. They torture a lot of animals.
Cinnabons.
They torture everything. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Psychologically, physically.
What did they took? I guess they took monkeys and they tortured it so it would hate bananas or something.
Probably.
Okay,
I think
so
with
now
electric shocks or something.
Now we got the cure for the cuckoo.
They psychologically tortured us to hate ourselves and each other.
Right.
This is true. Now imagine if they teach us to hate sugar. Imagine if they teach us to hate GMO and glyphosate and all the things that cause clotting in your heart and your lungs. It ends up people dying from the cuckoo. There's a cure right there. But they're not going to do that. No, they make money from that. I didn't know about that. All right, so.
Right.
Breathe. Not my monkeys, not my circus. Yes, Riley, they're all your monkeys. Every last monkey. They're not even your monkeys. You are a monkey. Right. They are you. Every last your monkeys, your circus, your poo-poo, your tail. You're the one jumping through the hoop. We are all one. We are all, whether we like it or not. It's like my father. Y'all playing around. I had two brothers. Y'all breaking the house and knocking stuff down. When he got home, everybody gets spankings together. But I didn't do it. That was my middle brother. It does not matter. We all getting spankings together. That's how we're all one. Scent triggers memories and anything, Diane said. All right.
Yes, and
Yeah, it does.
yeah, it's triggered to tied to memory and nostalgia.
Yeah. So open source, Caesar, I love what Caesar's saying, right? He's saying open source is much bigger than the understanding most have. And when I think about, like, I think we're thinking along the same lines that open source is literally source. If you think about it, open source and the idea of no secrets, no secrecy, Akashic records, all source, all connected, all knowing. We're literally creating concepts like you just mentioned that aren't new concepts. We are creating concepts in IT which are based along what is probably the most sustainable principles in the universe, which is when you have no secrecy, you have peace, you have freedom, you have efficiency, you have all connectedness. You can't be divided until you have secrets. You can't have a left and a right. You can't have conflicting groups and parties unless you got secrets. So I think that's probably an ancient wisdom. Where did that come from anyway? As we are going off in multiple tangents, where did the idea of source come from? Anybody know? All knowing, all connected, all one.
Where did the idea of source come from? From source.
Yeah,
From source.
You know what I'm saying? When did the monkeys get it? When did we monkeys grab it and found it interesting? Did it come from Hinduism?
You know,
Buddhism,
I think anthropologists probably debate how the first shamans became shamans.
Of the ancient in every culture, I think they're related. They were more related, connected with the source than we are.
Yes.
Because even the Egyptian gods, there was still the one God.
Yeah, they had still the head. They still had the head. They were still looking like gods. And in the very ancient old Indian times, my guru said there were demons and there were gods, but the people could see them like they were really looking like. But now they came, and she said later on, they come into your head. They don't. They evolve with you too. So now, because then everybody knew there was no thinking about good or bad in your head because you were blank. I couldn't say, but you were evolving, and the gods were there giving you ideas, and the demons wanted to disturb it. But it was outside of you. Now the demons are in your head, and the gods also. It's like they say there's the angel and the devil in your head. But they are, and you have to. It's like the good wolf and the bad wolf. Which are you feeding?
Yeah. And they wear the skins of politicians. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I posted about it today.
True.
It always comes back to reptilians with you. It always comes back to
I know it.
There's something to that. Tell us about that post.
Oh, yeah, you have to show it. I mean, it's on our timeline.
Grandpa Sniff in his
It's
true
on my-
form.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Trust me, I didn't want to believe the reptilian thing. It's starting to seem real.
Oh, I can maybe read that. If I can
I think
find
this
it.
is it right here.
Mhm.
Yeah, Gerard's going to pull it up.
He's going to pull it up.
But it got fact checked, apparently.
Yeah, maybe it's already
Yeah. Mhm.
In
fact checked.
the reptilian post
Yeah.
said Joe Biden is only 1/8 a reptilian. It's completely untrue. He's 100%, Susan. You're wrong. Wrong. Stop it. Get that off our website.
Yeah, they fact checked it because he doesn't read the Bible. That's why it was fact checked.
Is it right here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a
it.
good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I
so
said,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to, let me see what it said. I said something about, and I'll put it up.
When you come home,
Yeah.
puts
When
off his
Biden-
suit.
Yeah, when Biden gets home, takes off his suit and relaxes with the Bible, the person.
Oh,
And it got fact checked.
They removed it. They removed it. Yes. That's crazy. That's even more important. That's even more important. Look at this. Because here it is right here for y'all who want to see it. There it goes right there. False information. We reviewed this by independent fact checkers, and you can see why. It's gone. Danielle saved it. The original post I just went to, it's gone. They took the fact checker off. They're like, oh my God, we made a mistake. AI
It's
went
true.
out. They're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, we found the monkeys.
That's great.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it.
I
Oh,
know.
you can't make it up.
That's great.
The Matrix is
Better
getting
make it.
harder to handle. Weirder by the day.
Because that's what learning software is doing. It's just looking it up. Like, oh, no, that's not true. We've gone back through the DNA records. We check all the databases.
Yeah.
It's not a reptilian. He's only 1/16 of one. This is completely fake.
Yeah. And then they took it down because they were like, oh no, you're right. He's total reptilian.
So,
Told the monkeys.
Oh, well.
Great time to be alive when fact checking software is letting you know reptilians are real.
Reptilians are real.
And what Jennifer said is true. I never believed that. What Jennifer Carroll just said is that all the presidents were related. I was like, oh
Yeah.
man, that's conspiracy. That's just crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Finally, I had a chance and a cup of tea, and I sat down and I read into it, and it was like, you know that all the presidents but two are related. They actually all. I mean, everybody's related.
And another thing is that
Like
in every election,
are they coming
the
from
two
the same
presidents, the candidate that has the most blue blood in them, which is the old European, descendants from royalty and nobility, that candidate always wins. Going back to George Washington.
But in which how are they related? Because not by blood, I think, or do they?
Are you talking about the
presidents?
The presidents? Yeah, they're descendants of European royalty.
All
Yeah.
of them.
And so that goes back to the Anunnaki, right? The kings list and the Anunnaki Sumerians, that the whole concept of kings came from sky gods. And I'm going to stop there and let Susan speak before I mention aliens again.
Oh. And I don't know why, I guess because we're talking about presidents, but so American Gods, I watched that show. And in the beginning, right? So Mr. Ibis, who's like Thoth, he sometimes tells stories about like the past and how the gods came to America, because the basis of the story is that so when people started migrating to America, they brought their gods with them. So their gods are like, so Odin from like Norway is different than the Odin from America because it kind of changes over time being in a different place, right? So so he was saying how when America was founded, the founding fathers believed in the creator. And they believed that I wish I could say it as good as him. They believed in the creator, and they believed that all men were created equal. So that's what they based the Constitution on. But because of the war, it created debt. So they kept slavery, which violated their oath to the creator. And then it goes on about slavery but the way they make it sound is like how we're still in slavery today, we're still a plantation or whatever. But see, I wish I could say it as good as he did, but basically it's like we are facing this karma because when we wrote the Declaration of Independence, we made an oath to the creator that all men were created equal, and we violated that oath. So now we are going to pay the price for violating the oath that we made to the creator.
That's our karma.
Yeah, it's our karma.
Yeah.
It was really good. I should try to record
Yeah, but
it.
we did. I mean, we do violate every day because we listen to what is not. We listen to the outside world and not to the gods within us.
Right. Like if they they had that debt, but if they didn't, they were like, oh, well, I don't care. We don't care about the debt. We're just going to start from scratch and build ourselves up. They wouldn't have been violating their oath. But that money's the curse.
Mhm.
Money is the curse on humanity.
It absolutely is. I just pulled up the genealogical relationships of presidents of the United States. Second cousins were James Madison and Zachary Taylor. Third cousins, Martin Van Buren, John Adams, and James Madison. The fourth cousins were James Tyler. Ulysses S. Grant, the last American president of the Republic.
Mhm.
Once removed from Franklin Roosevelt, John Adams, and Millard Fillmore, 3 times removed. It just goes through all the details,
Mhm.
Wow.
which is crazy. But
Holy
what do they
shit.
say?
Yeah.
Truth is stranger than
Than
Edward
fiction.
Hoover.
Than fiction.
Mhm.
Yeah.
George W. Bush and Barack Obama, twice removed, 10th cousins. George H.W. Bush and Barack Obama, once removed. Gerald Ford, Barack Obama, once removed. Herbert Hoover, George W. Bush, once removed. James Monroe and Donald Trump, 4 times removed. There you go. There you go. Ask the question.
Wow.
Was he here to help, or was he part of the system? Interesting.
It's all a
Yeah.
setup. It's all a scam. I can see it all.
Crazy, yeah.
We're
That's
in the matrix.
Matrix. More clear
We're
every day.
so in the matrix.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Read, or we're just going to go on. I think we had a bunch of interesting stuff.
Yeah. Should I start reading?
Yeah.
Go for
Okay.
it.
Oh, and
Yeah.
real quick too,
Mhm.
in the American Gods, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know this. I learned this from the damn show, and then I had to look it up. So America had their own goddess, the goddess
Yes.
of Columbia.
Columbia.
Yeah, Columbia. Yeah, and it was the goddess of manifest destiny.
Mhm.
And then
Columbia
Lady
is really
Liberty-
Semiramis, the Babylonian goddess. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Lady Liberty stole her thunder, and
Mhm.
everybody forgot about Columbia.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah. But my guru says the Lady Liberty is actually is the goddess of America, but it's changed through the thing, but actually she represents the spirit of the goddess of America.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I cannot explain it, but she said I have this. She said it's very beautiful. So, like you said, there is Colombia, but because she actually the true spirit of America is freedom.
Freedom.
That is
Yeah.
actually the true spirit, and it's true.
Right.
And that is what she represents. And she explains every symbol from because that man who made the statue, it's very symbolic. I will send it. I will maybe next time I can explain it because she explained like 2 pages what it all means.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to record that, or I'll write it down or whatever to read it, because it was so good. And it really, to me, like really resonated, right? Because they actually weren't they had slaves when they first got here and stuff, but when they founded America, they weren't really for slavery. They really were about like, we're just going to make everybody equal. And then they did, it is kind of like betraying.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like, we just made an oath to the creator for freedom for everyone, and now we're just going to completely betray it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I just
But
thought
that's what my guru said even.
yeah.
So-
It was so, and the way he worded it was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wonderful.
You know,
Yeah.
symbols have the law of polarity exists everywhere. It's one of the 7 tenets of natural law. All symbols have if you want to use the terms dark and light, aspects to them. They certainly do. Every symbol does.
mhm.
And of course, the gods and goddesses, what are they but different aspects of the divine nature?
Yes. Mhm.
Mhm.
Like you have like every
Yeah.
There are different goddesses in one god. They
Right.
have different. They represent
Yeah, yeah.
something, a different spiritual aspect. Like all the chakras has a different goddess.
Yeah.
Every country has a different goddess, but actually they are all one.
All the
Right.
same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my shows in Vikings. In Vikings,
Is that on Netflix, by the way, Susan? American Gods?
American God? No, it's on Stars. I get Stars
Oh.
for 3 months just to watch that damn show. I cancel it every year. I really like it.
Cool.
But in Vikings,
Mhm.
Ube is Viking, right? And he's talking to a priest, right? And he says, your Jesus worships the All Father, right? His father.
Yeah.
And he goes,
Yeah.
and Odin is the All Father. So I think our God and your God are the same.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
It is true.
it's really, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same all over the world.
It's
Yeah.
all over because Jesus is the son of the
Right.
Yeah.
Jesus,
You know?
Yeah.
Horus, Dionysus, Krishna, they're all the same.
Yeah.
The same.
Yeah.
They're all the same,
same
different, but
archetype.
a different. They bring some different awareness about the spiritual
Yes.
aspect.
Yeah.
That's
Depending
why
on
we should.
the culture, the time, the place, and the age.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. I mean, Jesus was the manifestation of that energy during Pisces.
And that was
You know?
that important for that time.
And that Jesus emphasized self-sacrifice, mysticism,
And forgiveness. And
forgiveness.
Yeah.
These are all Piscean traits. So yeah.
Okay. Now it's a crazy god.
Well, in a comment that I made to
now
Christ
Loki's
Henderson
loose.
today, she, we were talking about The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and I mentioned that is a classic representation of Piscean esoteric wisdom. And my comment was, what are our myths during Aquarius going to look like?
Yeah.
How
I'm
are
wondering.
those going to take shape? Because they will. They certainly will. Maybe
Metal
they already
gods.
are.
Metal gods trying killing all the humans.
Right. Maybe those Aquarian myths are
Transgender.
going to be written maybe in the next 100 years. So no, I don't think it's. Anyway, I don't want to step in that hornet's nest.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be a god with multiple genitals.
Shit.
Or none at all. That's what
Wow.
I'm saying.
Right.
Be a metal man with no genitals, and you can't call him a
It'll be
hero.
AI. It'll be some
The
cyber
AI god.
bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
God.
Living in the clouds.
Right.
Living in the clouds. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh God.
Okay,
We're all gonna
so-
die for real.
This is once again, it's called The Light in Britain. This is a book by Grace Cook, who was an English seer. This was published originally published in 1971. There were a couple of so that gives us some dates. The incidences of her visions occurred as early as the 30s. And she records throughout her book, co-written with her husband, Ivan Cook, about the visions that she experienced, in these ancient sites, which she says flat out, these go back to the Golden Age, whenever that was. That's how old these sites are. That's how old Egypt is. That's how old the Irish standing stones, Newgrange, Noath, Douth, places like that are. That's how old the structures in the Yucatan are, because they're all Golden Age structures, or built by Atlantean Lemurian civilization, however far back those. So that's her claim. My intuition tends to say, yes, she's right. This is chapter 6, and it's called We Visit the Trodden Underfoot Cathedral. White Eagle speaks. In the beginning was the Word, and that Word was a vibration, a mighty sound which vibrated and reverberated in an ever-widening circle. All creation is within that circle. Think of your life as being held in a circle of light in which you are enfolded, that you are living within that word, within that circle of light, power, and protection. End quote. Suppose that some local authority suddenly decided to drive a roadway through the middle of Westminster Abbey or St. Paul's Cathedral in London, and at the same time to erect cottages clustering round the cathedral precincts. What an outcry would ensue when traffic began to rumble through the sacred building. Yet, this has already happened and is still happening to a cathedral perhaps more significant than either Westminster or St. Paul's. It is happening at Avebury, a temple so vast that it would house a dozen or so Stonehenges and nearly as many Westminster Abbeys. If you will study our picture giving a reconstruction of how Avebury might have looked long ago, you will glimpse something of its expanse, its dignity, even its majesty. And there is a picture of it right here. This is an artist's rendering. Let me put it over there so you guys can see it. This is an artist's rendering of the center of the complex. The entire town of Avebury fits inside of that circle.
Wow.
It's immense. This is the belly of the dragon. There's a head and a tail section as well as Silbury Hill, which is like a quarter of a mile away from there. This was an immensely large complex in Wiltshire. Avebury is, I think, I want to say maybe around 20 or 30 miles away from Stonehenge. So Avebury was, connected. Susan, did you want to?
I just wanted to say,
Yeah.
just from that
Mhm.
with the circles,
Yes.
because I don't know about
Mhm.
those structures that, I know of them, but not that much
Right.
about them.
Right.
But from seeing them from there, it reminds me of I'm not going to say it right. Göbekli Tepe. Because the images from above of Göbekli Tepe
Right.
is all those circles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
And Atlantis circles. It's all connected.
seven circles, and Tolkien modeled Minas Tirith in Return of the King, 7 circles, after Plato's description of Atlantis in the Timaeus. 7 circles ascending on the side of a mountain, built right on the side of a mountain. So circles, you go to Newgrange, Nouth, Douth, places like that, which are initiation sites, and they're circular and carved all around the perimeter of Newgrange they call them curbstones, and carved in all of these curbstones you find spirals, triskelions, swirls, and you find the same exact images all over the Americas, carved in stone. This was one civilization. This was a global civilization, probably going back to certainly before the fall and the flood, the fall of Atlantis and the flood, which wiped them out. Definitely. I mean, the evidence in the stones is incontrovertible as far as I'm concerned. You just can't deny it.
A species with amnesia.
Yeah.
Amnesia.
John, was it
Mark Passio says that
Randall-
we have species PTSD.
we do.
We're all suffering from PTSD.
Yeah.
We do in every single way.
Now, amnesia and PTSD.
Yes.
All of it
Yeah.
Right.
in the suit.
And that's to keep us in a trauma-based conditioning and to keep us stuck in a matrix, in a time loop where we can't get out of here.
Yeah.
We just repeat endlessly. We're stuck.
Don't
here.
worry. They got a vaccine for that now.
Susan, you can't
Right.
say those words.
You can't say vaccine? It said it's good.
Vaccine.
It's good. It's going to make us remember.
We're gonna get
Say
kicked
those
off of
words.
Got to
YouTube
set
now.
us straight.
Right.
Oh,
There's
wow.
Göbekli Tepe.
Yeah.
Göbekli Tepe.
Go back to
Yeah.
Go back.
Go
And if you put that side by side with pictures of Chaco Canyon in New Mexico, they look practically identical to some of the Kiva structures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Poverty Point looks
Mhm.
familiar to that,
Right.
similar.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in Louisiana.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and Avebury resembles the mound builder culture in Missouri, outside of St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-dynastic. I mean, these what do they call them? The Adamites, right? And before that, I think there was probably something else. You can people get into the Lumerians and all the pre-civilizations before the different pole shifts and ice ages. We simply don't know anything, and that's why, like I said, it's fantastic to be alive right now, where we're just scratching the surface of our ignorance.
Right.
The shame is that there aren't enough people who are open-minded enough to accept the fact that we don't know anything.
Yeah,
Right.
and maybe
No.
there comes a time now in the time coming that we start remembering again. If we evolve
Yes.
further in Aquarius age, I think we start remembering. I think
Mhm.
we will reconstruct, and I mean the damage will be maybe healed.
Right.
Well, that's like with the DNA stuff and all, or whatever. Like to me, it's more than just like controlled. I feel like they know that there's something special within our DNA, and
Yeah.
that's why they
Yeah,
want it so
probably.
bad. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And if we can just learn ourselves how to tap into that, we could free ourselves maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Because think about it, our DNA goes back to the Big Bang.
yeah.
Like we
Everything
know
is recorded.
everything. Yeah, we
Yeah.
just have to know how to access it, learn how to access it. And if the good and the lighter side takes over Aquarius, we probably can get some kind of technology that helps stimulate it to help us remember.
Yeah, I think so.
I was going
There.
through 2 parts. I was going through evidence of how old we are. 'Cause I love parts, right? I love out of place artifacts, right? Artifacts that show us that we are far older than what we think we are as a civilization on this planet. And the first exposure I got to that was Forbidden Archaeology. It was an old book
Yes.
I remember reading.
Yeah.
Michael Cremo, I think it was.
Cremo's book, yeah.
And it talked about Mary Leakey, right? She was the archaeologist who found evidence of, I want to say it was footprints. I'm gonna mess it up. It could have been a Mexican site. I forget, but evidence that was like of a civilization that was over 80,000 years old. An advanced civilization. I think they did some carbon dating, and that's what I think she thought. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I know I'm messing it up, but the carbon dating came back like millions of years old, and it just doesn't fit with the current paradigm that we just got here. And we came from, people in grass skirts who came out of caves, and we came from monkeys with tails, but that there were ancient civilizations. And so anyway, I found it funny. I love parts. But you put in UPART, and the very first thing you see is a Nintendo, concrete, thing. And this is the scary thing, right? So they're taking a very real topic that we are a lot older than what we think we are, and they're filling it with a lot of bullshit, right? Because
Right.
here's the Nintendo gun, right? They're basically, they make things ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah.
They
They
can
really do.
ridiculous. They
Yeah.
I
can,
think they do it maybe on purpose. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most likely, those are part of psyops that
Misinformation.
to misinformation, to create guilt by
Fact-checking.
association in the minds of people that have no dialectical ability to make distinctions.
Yep. But that's real.
Yeah.
They got spaceships and helicopters and airplanes. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
tell
Look
us
at
about
that.
it, Susan. But you know, they tried to explain this one away too, and
Yeah.
they got me on
Yeah.
this one.
Well, they've got an explanation for everything, don't they?
But they had an explanation. They said, I forgot what it's called, but he said basically, well, it's one hieroglyphic on top of another, and the first layer broke off, and it just accidentally looked like a helicopter, a UFO, a submarine, or whatever, in a tank or a helicopter. And what one of the, you know, and of course you hear that and it's explained away and you're done with it. Like, oh, okay, it was probably bullshit.
Mhm.
But then it was Brian Forster or someone who said, no, that's bull, because the Egyptians did everything in tubes in these temples. And he showed on the other side of the wall, it was the same exact hieroglyphic.
Mhm.
But unless you went there, you wouldn't know that. And so there's always cover up upon cover up, but that is legitimate. And what does it mean? I mean, well, to me, it means that, you know, it means that deja vu is real. It means that we are time travelers when we perhaps go to sleep, and people who can do it in deep meditation, that you can see the future, and we've all seen the future.
Well,
Deja vu. And
another
it doesn't have to
possibility
be
is that this was the
fantastic.
product of remote viewing,
Yeah.
ancient remote viewing.
It could
Possibly.
be.
It could
Yeah,
be,
it could be also.
you know.
Well, we had a government that invested heavily in remote viewing. You have
Yes.
people who go around teach remote viewing.
Yeah.
You have people who solve crimes with remote viewing. Police departments that actually pay contractors that do these things. You know, and so, but once again, we kind of get lost in, because if we can't do it, it's not real. If I haven't seen anybody do it, then it can't be real.
Mm.
PTSD, that's back to that monkey stuff.
Oh, and see how there's a like bug on it? Oh, you just took it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
There,
I
on
saw
the-
the circuit board.
It's no.
To the end, there's like
the previous.
it looks like a
it's on the
big-
left-hand side where it's cut off there.
Yeah, that one.
There you
Yeah.
go.
The bug.
Oh, there's a
That one.
something.
Where is
So
the book?
all the
yeah,
way
yeah.
right in the front. It looks like a
Right
bee.
here, yeah.
A big V or something. So remember in the summer, Gerard, I sent you a picture because I was like, whoa, look at this.
Ah, yeah.
And it was I took a picture of my sunflowers, but there was like a big bee hovering around it, and it was leaving like echoes of itself in the picture. Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
bee was here, but you could see his thing here because he moves so fast, the
Yeah.
vibration.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So that bee has something to do with those airplanes. I don't know what, but it does.
Yeah, probably
I'm
that.
just saying.
So
Yeah.
first of all, to clarify a few things, every email you send me is like, oh my God, every single one. So that you described every day.
Look what I
Number
found.
one. Right. Everything is look what I found. Like, oh my God. You know, that's number one. Two, it reminds me of who was the Russian inventor who said he found a bug that it flew by vibration, and he somehow took its wings or its vibrational property, whatever, and put it inside of a board, and he would fly around on a levitating board. And they
Yes.
pictures of it.
We
He
saw that.
paper.
Yeah,
You know, he described it how.
I think you
only-
did it in a live stream.
yeah, he did.
Yeah, well, I've done live streams on every damn thing. I did live streams on grass. I've done live. And I would say his name is Victor Grabinovitz. Victor Grabinovitz. Anyway, so he created this flotating, levitating thing, and somebody, Susan, sent me down the pack. Somebody else sent me a message like, "Oh my God, look at this!" You know, and it had to do with the dung beetle and the fascination that the Egyptians had with the dung beetle, and that dung beetle perhaps it didn't fly by flapping its wings. It somehow created in some sort of an anti-gravity vibrational thing. Scarab beetle.
Yeah.
And that was their fascination with it. Not that it rode doo-doo around in the
desert.
in the desert, but
Yeah.
that it had anti-gravity properties that they utilize for flying ships. And so it's interesting that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Victor Grabinovitz, I think that really is, somebody will post it if they look it up.
Okay.
But maybe that's the connection.
For that scarabee, we might find in the book of the initiation from Elizabeth Haig. I don't know. I don't remember that, but I think she explained some of those things, but I don't remember.
Yeah, the dung that the scarab beetle, it also uses the Milky Way to navigate.
Mhm.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they discovered that too. And it was something about
Egyptian
what was
mythology,
that
yeah.
beetle? Yeah, it was
Yeah.
other beetles too. Somehow it's with vibration against the natural magnetic fields of the earth, and that's actually how they fly, not
Oh yeah, definitely.
flapping their wings. I mean, I don't know
Which,
how it works, but
right. And to me,
but
that's
they
not
did.
crazy, right?
No.
It's evolution. It's not, it's just evolution, right? Different creatures learn how to use the magnetic fields, birds
Oh yeah.
navigate by it. We evolve abilities based on our natural environment. So is it possible that a bug created a means of levitating with not just flapping its wings, or increased levitation? Maybe it flaps its wings, but also because of the honeycomb pattern under its wings, it gives it a little more lift. It's not only very possible, but it's plausible. And this was the guy right here, Victor Bergenacroft. What was interesting is back then, and this was in like the 1940s, and no one could explain, how an anti-gravity craft would work, where you would lean forward and it takes you forward because it creates lift in the back and backwards. And that's what he had, was a handle that would do that. And he said he could go forward at infinite speeds. And once again, it just gets me back to the whole Bob Lazar thing. When people say things that they knew that fit with what we know of science today, and back then we didn't know that, there's something there, like the Mahabharata and the people who, I always do that, Christine. The Mahabharata.
Christine and I have to bite our tongue every time you say Mahabharata.
Mahabharata.
Oh Lord.
Them explaining time dilation.
Okay, yeah.
University.
There is a good writer,
Okay.
an Indian writer, a lady, and she's Kavita. She writes very deep information about the goddesses, like in the times, like it's amazing. I'm gonna try to find the book of her. I had one, but I think I left it in the airport. Somewhere in America, you can find it.
Yeah. The books that we leave behind in places and we kick ourselves later
I
on.
left it, and that's such a good book.
Yeah.
Must be somewhere.
Someone's enjoying that today.
Yeah.
I can't tell if Beaufont is like making jokes or not. That's the only irritating thing about Beaufont. He makes too many damn jokes. I can't tell.
He's serious there, right? That's an interesting observation that he made. Yeah.
And so, what does it mean? It just means that we're not being told the truth about history, right?
Right.
People can fill in the gaps with all the other stuff they want, but when you're presented with evidence to say, okay, your hypothesis is wrong. The human beings did not evolve 200,000 years ago, or they did, and there were reptilians a couple million years ago. That's possible.
There's also one theory that the current predator that we have came somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 years ago, and took over Babylon or ancient Mesopotamia, and that's one theory. But that who knows? Who knows really? All I do know is that our recorded history has been entirely during Kali Yuga. I don't think there's any doubt about that in my mind. Or at least during a dark age, a decline. I mean, the last 2,000 years have been, I can't imagine a darker time than the last 2,000 years.
Yeah, true. I think this is the darkest time.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that'll rope me back into, you talk about the Kali Yugas. I used to listen to Christine talk about the Kali Yugas before on your profile.
Right.
And that takes me back to the declassified Adam and Eve story.
Oh, yeah.
Which is basically a document that talks about how the planet constantly resets, that you go through these different yuga cycles, and every yuga cycle there's a new religion. There are new religions that are based in the root religions, but they're not exactly right, and then everything gets wiped away again, and then it comes back every 13,000 to 18,000 years. And it explained it from a geological perspective, but these are things that people need to study, which, you know, it boggles my mind that it's not more, you know, we as a people don't sink our teeth into it, right? They need to literally put the Adam and Eve story in front of children or
and they will figure it out.
And let them think about it, right? They could be tapping into ancient memory, DNA memory, and filling in the gaps. Like when we know that what we think is true about history is bullshizzle, we focus on, well, what was really true? Because if you don't know your history, you're going to possibly repeat it. And if every 13,000 to 18,000 years, all the monkeys get wiped out, they're in conflict with each other over silly, dumb stuff, then maybe we need to focus on more important things. And that's where it's like jokes, and then it's not jokes. But it's ridiculous that we are so gullible and naive that we would let powerful people keep the history from us. And we keep cheering and consenting to the people who are doing that, not knowing
that's why we should not send the kids to school, but they have to get their memory back. That's better. How to learn, to remember, maybe that would be a good thing. How to learn to remember.
Yes.
Well, school largely, to me, Christine, is a useless thing. I'm you know, I'll make bold statements, but it is. What is the point of sending a child to get an education to make money? We know money is everything.
Human beings are far better off without education than they are with Rockefeller education. Far better off without it.
Yes. I love how you said that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because the Rockefeller education
creates a
damages human beings.
It's a slave mind. Yeah.
It gives them the idea that learning is dull and boring, and it teaches them to indulge just in, you know, short-term pleasure, not to question. Children question nothing. After receiving 12, 13 years of Rockefeller education, they are completely incapable of, you know, connecting the dots. The ones that have been put to sleep by it anyway. You know, yeah, it's terrible. It really is terrible.
So of course, just because we're in that zone. And Susan brought up the reptilians from her post on Facebook, proving that the reptilians are real. And you know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of the Egyptian alligator kings.
Oh yeah.
Right? Remember when there was, I guess, an inscription, and
the Nagas also.
Well, who built the pyramids? Either there was an inscription or there was a document that was written down, but the Egyptians answered, or the priests answered, the alligator kings. They built the pyramids. We didn't build the pyramid, or mids, I don't know. They built some of them, but the alligator kings, right? So what is an alligator? It's a reptilian. Right? What would it look like? It would look like a reptilian, you know? And so is any number of those things are possible. But it's fascinating, right? And that, to me, that's where you need to send the kids off. You need to send the kids off into what possibly is really going on the planet, so they can figure it out. Don't send them off into a bullshit world of Rockefeller. This is what we want you to know, so you'll go off and build a world for us, so we can kill you later and take the world that you built. So absolutely, Jonathan, back to that point. It's better for people to be completely uneducated, 100%, than to be Rothschild or Rockefeller educated in falsehoods. And given this idea that it's a good idea to be in conflict with other people and other kids to make more money than them and push the other kids further down that Ponzi pyramid scheme into poverty.
Right. If there was no enforced education, enforced public schooling, children would naturally, like they did before 150 years ago, they would naturally teach themselves what it is that they have an interest in,
Right.
or what it is that they want to, what the skills that they want to develop so that they can support themselves when they're older. Children aren't stupid.
No,
No, absolutely not.
They will naturally gravitate towards what
their purpose.
grabs their attention and their
Yeah,
purpose.
Yeah, and then
Absolutely.
education does everything to keep it away from them.
To-
And that's
yes.
actually quite
Yeah.
it's
Right.
traumatizing, I
Right.
think.
Well, John Taylor Gatto reveals it quite well and backs it up with multiple sources. Boy, did he do some good work. In Underground History of Education, he reveals that there was a plan by the robber baron class during the turn of the century that they had these factories, and they learned during the Civil War. They got a taste of the military-industrial complex, and they wanted more of it. And so what did they do? They got hold of the government, they got hold of the banking system, they got hold of all of that. Now they needed to get people out of the country into the cities so that they can work in the factories. And in order to train them for factory work, what do you have to do? Put them in a school, set bells, whistles, going off. You do this. You don't ask questions. You simply obey. George Carlin says, make them smart enough to run the machines and dumb enough not to ask any
Ask
questions.
questions.
Yes.
What do you say?
And that's the system.
Make them
Yeah,
smart enough.
make them just smart enough to be able to operate the machines and fill out the paperwork, but dumb enough not to ask any questions.
Make them
That's
smart
George Carlin.
enough to watch the news, but not question the cuckoo virus.
Right.
Put the face diaper on.
Basically.
Trust the billionaires. Trust the elite. They love
Yeah.
you and love
Right.
grandma.
Government loves you. What a
Well,
lie.
This is what Jennifer said. I agree with her. And this is the problem with meditation. It's the same problem with psychedelics. Is that, same problem with cannabis. Is these are things that make people think about themselves, self-reflect. And it reflects on the true self, not the indoctrinated Rockefeller clone that they make you in these schools.
Right. Yeah.
And the shame is the teachers know that. But
Do you think?
the teachers can't do anything about it, right?
I think
The smart
some
ones do,
teachers do. Yeah.
Some
Some
teachers.
teachers do, yeah.
What's the same thing with the police, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Friends I have who are police, they're just like, hey, you can hate me all you want, but it's not going to change anything. I don't write the laws, right? You vote for the people that write the laws. So why in the world would you go and be upset at the teachers, be upset at the police, be upset? We're just all soldiers, right? We are all
Yeah, we're all soldiers.
consenting in this thing. And whether you carry a briefcase or a gun or handcuffs, we're all a part of the same system, or a book.
Yeah.
And this is where meditation comes in.
Yeah,
we have to somehow
It's
tap.
unplugging, huh? Unplugging back to the source, we have to plug, not here, there.
Right.
But
Yeah.
we're plugged in the wrong. Yeah.
I just got an image with all kinds of plugs in us, except for the one that we need.
Yeah, this is too up, and the other one we have to. Yeah,
That was an interesting
erase.
part in the Matrix, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All the hoses and everything connected to it looked like connected to all their energy centers.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, the
all along Neo's spine,
Yeah.
I'm-
well,
In the
and then the one in the back of his
pressure
head.
point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's still people who haven't seen The Matrix.
Yeah. This
I
generation.
should see it again.
I've
It's a long
introduced
time
the
ago.
Matrix to 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds in my classes
Wow.
because they haven't seen it.
Wow. Yes, that's a mandated watch in my house. No
Yeah.
kids are allowed to be kids in my house. They all had to watch all the old greats.
Good. I have to see it again. It's a long time ago.
I've seen it and the more you watch it, the more it reveals to you.
Yeah.
It's just crazy
Mm-hmm.
how much is in that story about what is wrong with us.
Right.
Now, did that come from a book? Was that like a story that was?
Yeah.
I don't
No.
think
I know-
it came from a book. No.
Yeah, I know in a
So-
channel, somebody who channeled, that channel said the most important movie is The Matrix for
Yeah.
human beings.
It is.
And that was a long time ago. I said, yeah.
No, the Wachowskis wrote that. They wrote that.
Yeah.
Okay.
They wrote it, directed it, produced it.
See, look, it's a picture of the education system right there.
Yeah, it is.
You put the baby in that pod.
It is. It is.
Yeah. And did you see the new news articles about how they're like, they remind me of like little space pods, but how like we're pretty sure we can grow human beings now, you know, babies outside the womb in these pods.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's coming. What is it? Altered carbon.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Altered
If-
carbon.
If we don't stop it, and if we do not take control of Aquarius, they will.
Yeah, and then it's the look. Don't yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be,
That would
gonna
be
be
the awful
Terminator.
one.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's gonna be like,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but there's a good movie about, and then the AI is so strong, and on the end, it destroys the human.
yeah. Yeah.
We are literally racing towards our destruction.
Our end.
And that was my perspective working with learning software and IT. And that was that, you know, there is no, you know, I'm breaking stuff. There is no whether or not the Terminator's coming. Everybody's racing to make it. And in all reality, they probably have already made it. But
Yeah,
all
probably.
nations are racing to make it because whoever turns it on first, they win every war. You know,
Right.
war isn't about, you know, who has the best weapon. It's who has the best strategy. And if you've got, you know, AI that's learning from all the, you know, the strategy games that people are playing all over the world, all the world's governments are racing to make a Skynet. You know, it's not a matter of if that's coming. It's a question of have they already turned it on? Because whoever turns it on first, they'll rule the world.
Mhm.
They don't need to have the better equipment. All they need to do is have more or have better strategy. And that's what AI will exceed at doing. So Terminator is not an if. It's in the current model. It's a win. And that was
Right.
the power of Annie Jacobson's book about DARPA, explaining that you know the people and the scientists in DARPA are like, we need to stop. We should keep making technology, but we have to stop making technology based in the Cold War mission statement that we have. We are literally making technologies on a regular basis that could end all life on Earth.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, we have
Crazy.
changes to make.
Yeah, Beaufort, I've heard that as well.
What do you say?
So the rumor is that the Wachowskis got the premise from an African American author for The Matrix. I have not.
Yeah.
I have not heard any confirmation about that at all. So take it for what it's worth.
Or it's predictive programming from the CIA.
Yeah.
So we can accept our pods.
Right.
Easily.
It's an ancient story from going back. There was this thing, and I think it was an African American woman, but there was this thing where it talked about how when an idea comes to Earth, multiple people all have it at the same time. And I think
Yes.
this
Yeah.
goes back to Tesla,
Yes.
where when he
Yes.
was working on technology here, there were others in Europe who were working on very similar. They were getting the
Yes.
same epiphanies at the same time. I
Right,
think
yeah.
somebody wrote a book about that.
Yeah, that's the how you call it? It's the that energy, the wave energy goes. Yeah,
It's called
in the
past
air and it-
life regression. It's you're picking up stories from someone because we're all a part of the whole. We're not disconnected.
Oh, yeah.
We're all connected, and multiple people pick up on the same signal.
yeah. Mhm.
Hmm.
Which is why Susan's connected to the lady with the face diaper with the dog doodle on it.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Better
I
that
saw
than
both
being
on-
connected with
I saw
Reptile
both
Joe.
Yeah, I saw Beaufont's comments too. I'm not connecting to no reptiles either. I don't care. I'm making a stand
You
with
reptile.
source.
Susan
We
is
gotta
like this.
Earth,
Yeah,
I
we're all
want a nice-
connected.
pretty place. I don't want reptiles, and I'm done with face diapers. I died. It's not happening again. No. Coming back to a golden age.
We're gonna take the
We
reptiles.
are the Leos. We should
Yeah.
be, and we need gold around us.
The lady with the doodoo face diaper. They all connected.
No. If I wake up in this earth again and someone's got a face diaper on, that's it. I don't care. I'm jumping off the
Right.
bed right there. I don't care. Mention it right there. The moment I'm born. I mean, like face diapers. Nope, I already did this one.
We come from such
No.
great people.
Mm.
I guess, I mean, to a degree, to treat us the way they do. They have to convince us we come from cavemen. They have to convince us that, that we are filthy and dirty and low evolved, barely evolving. We beat ourselves up. And I do it too. I call us monkeys, but I think monkeys are like highly intelligent compared to us. But, to say something is human, it comes too often with a negative connotation.
Yeah, true.
And it's like they've somehow convinced us and inbred in us this idea that we're not worthy. And to me, that's the same thing as domestic violence. That's how you abuse a husband or you abuse a wife. You convince them that they're not good enough.
That's what the Catholics do that, and they say, like you have that when you go to church. It's at one point you have mea culpa, mea culpa, mea culpa. Ik ben schuldig. I'm guilty. I'm guilty. I'm guilty. So you get it from 2,000 years back already.
Yeah.
That stupid Latino church.
That's
We're
a
a
good example
species with
going on right there.
PTSD.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Newton and Leibniz discovering calculus basically in different places but simultaneously is a great example of what you were just saying a minute ago, Gerard.
Yeah. He put the funk to it.
Yeah.
I was thinking about UFOs, but he put the funk to it. Right. And it's so mathematics. And so the funny thing is you could take that then and let me tie it to aliens, which is but they talked about in the ancient scriptures that the gods brought mathematics to them. The gods brought them science. The gods brought them agriculture.
Yeah.
And so maybe there are different ways that we get these things. Maybe they just understood where the communication was coming from. It could be physical. It could be something different. But I don't know.
I know.
What's that called? Do you say what it's called? There's a name for it, isn't there?
What?
When across when people all have the same idea at the same time. What is the name?
Yeah, I was looking for that name too.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. No, there's
Maybe
a name.
maybe
but I don't
Beaufort knows. Maybe he knows.
Oh, both I know every damn thing.
So I know
Is it-
that sometimes I get all hippie-ish with the, humans are beautiful, but think about it, right?
Yeah.
We have to be some kind of powerful, amazing species, whatever you want to call us, for them to try so hard to
destroy
poison
us.
us,
Yes.
to destroy us,
Yes.
to stifle,
Actually.
to alter our DNA,
Mhm.
everything going on now. I mean, look at how hard and how long they've been trying to get us to hate each other, to turn on each other, to not know ourselves. So we must be amazing, beyond amazing, for them to try so hard
Yes.
for so long.
Including the lady with the chihuahua poo-poo in her face diaper.
Yeah.
I'm just checking.
Yes.
I'm just checking.
She just needs a little help. That's all.
I'm sorry if y'all didn't see that video. Y'all should watch the video.
Yeah, I have to see that.
Marsilio Ficino, the Neoplatonist scholar who was employed by the Medici, by Lorenzo the Magnificent in Florence in the 1500s, who was the first one to translate Plato, from the Greek scholars that arrived in Byzantium or from Byzantium after the fall of Constantinople, from Arab sources. Ficino said this about the human race. "O divine spirit clothed in a mortal garment." Well, that's exactly what Susan was just saying, that we are powerful and yet we have, accepted by incarnating here in immense limitation on our powers.
Yeah.
Now, whether we made a mistake or whether we actually chose to accept that limitation is a debatable point.
Yeah,
But
the money
here we
did-
are.
Yeah.
We have to figure out how to get back to our original nature.
Yeah, but the money did make us fell into the matter very, very
the
deep.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Exactly.
Ooh.
I mean, Jesus was human and he could
Huh?
walk on water. Jesus was human and he could walk on water and he could heal people just by touching and thinking it. And like Bruce Lipton, if you think in your mind that you can heal your body, and it's happened to people
And
where they really tell
supposedly,
themselves,
Madame
right.
Blavatsky was able to manifest objects from the ether, according
Right.
to her disciples, that she did this. But she said, I'm not going to do this because that's not what I'm really about.
Yeah.
And Tesla could control his body temperature.
Yes.
with
Another
his
great
mind.
example. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So we are
So-
capable of things like that. We just forgot how to do it.
Mhm.
Zeitgeist
Word.
basically means worldview. Yeah. The vision of the world at a certain time and place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's a cultural climate of an era, which actually takes us back to the whole Adam and Eve story, and that's
Yeah.
what it talked about. But it said scholars have long maintained that each era has a unique spirit, a nature, or a climate that it sets apart from all other epochs. In German, that spirit was known as the Zeitgeist, from the German word Zeit, meaning time, and Geist, meaning spirit or
Right.
ghost.
Spirit of the time.
Amazing.
Should I go back and actually actually read
And
something?
actually read.
Yeah. Try.
Okay. All right. We only got like half a paragraph in, so anyway.
It goes amazing places. Just let it go. Let the Zeitgeist do what the Zeitgeist got to do.
Right.
It's got the Zei and Geist.
If you will study our picture giving a reconstruction of how Avebury might have looked long ago, you will glimpse something of its expanse, its dignity, even its majesty. Then compare what you see with a present-day aerial photograph and observe how the place has shrunken. Hey, Gerard, can you get a modern-day picture of Avebury, Avebury, so you guys can see it? There's a road that, and the village is right in the middle of the stone structure today. Okay.
Yeah, I was looking for one, but I spelled it wrong.
Yeah. Avebu. There it is right there. So, yeah.
Better one.
There's probably better ones. That's a good one. That's it right there. You can see the highway running right through, and the village is right in the center of the larger circle.
Wow.
Then compare what you see with a present-day aerial photograph and observe how the place has shrunken, how its massive monoliths have been uprooted to build the cottages which clutter up its expanse and spoil the line of the stone's dignified array. It will now be seen how Avebury Village also overruns the enclosure itself, while an occasional huge monolith stands in some cottage garden, an incongruous sight. Worst of all, roads have been built right around and across the enclosure, so that now huge buses thunder past where once the pilgrims walked and worshipped. Yet, this is still a noble place, the national monument of all our monuments in Britain. In a sense, its sanctity, dignity, and greatness remain unimpaired, while in comparison, we humans seem such trivial creatures. Like insects, we cluster and defile, and like insects, in a moment are gone. While Stonehenge, Avebury, they remain. The day we chose for Avebury was one of summer's best days. We had driven over early to avoid the crowds, so we had the place practically to ourselves. A small herd of cows browsing among the stones gave us a placid welcome, and we settled down beside them, nearly out of earshot of the traffic, and alone except for our animal brethren. It was in conditions such as these, in peace and sunlight, that the following message from Spirit came through to me. This occurred in July of 1966. Avebury Circle is a prehistoric monument as much surpassing Stonehenge, as says the author Aubrey, as a cathedral does surpass a parish church. According to archaeologists, the remains at Avebury consist mainly of a massive circular earthwork, 3/4 of a mile around and about 15 feet high, with a fosse originally 30 feet deep on its inner side, thus suggesting a religious rather than a defensive object for the entrenchment. Fringing the inner edge of the fosse, once stood a gigantic circle of unhewn megaliths, and in the center of the enclosed area were 2 smaller concentric circles. The largest stones weigh
Jonathan
about
Glover.
what?
The Jonathan Glover.
Huh?
Your lover calling it.
It's probably
your-
Beaufont. It's probably
your
Beaufont
lover's
calling me.
Sorry, go ahead.
Jeez. All right. The largest stones weigh about 60 tons. From the circle, an avenue of stones, many recently re-erected, led southeast beyond West Kennet to a group of small stone and timber circles called the sanctuary, long since vanished and now marked out on the ground. The message I received was thus: the ritual here at Avebury was linked with the moon. I see a great crowd gathered to perform an elaborate ritual of ceremony to the moon, or to
Well,
what I can.
Can
Yeah,
I just say something real quick?
sure.
So I don't, like I said, I don't know much about Avebury,
Mhm.
but Stonehenge
Mhm.
and Poverty Point and Göbekli Tepe, never gonna say it right. Göbekli Tepe, whatever. They and there's other ones, of course, but those are the ones that stick out in my head right now. They all mark out the moon cycles, but not just the 28-day cycles. The moon also has an 18-month cycle with the lunar
Yes.
nodes and an 18-year cycle,
Yes.
and they mark them out.
Mhm.
All those sites mark them out.
I am sure that there are multiple lunar alignments at Avebury.
Oh, yeah.
I've got books. It's been a while since I've studied or read those books, so I should probably go back and review them. Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure that what you're saying is accurate, though.
Well, just because you're saying this is like her
Yeah.
what, channeling or remote viewing?
Channeling. It's
Channeling.
Yeah, channeling. Mhm.
And the first thing she said was it was the moon ceremony.
It's a moon ceremony. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So
Definitely.
just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's all right. To what I can only describe as a goddess of the moon. At that time, the moon looked much bigger than it does now, and there was life on it. The people on the moon were advanced in spiritual knowledge, and a form of communication with them existed. And her note is, it could be taken that this life on the moon, like that on Earth, as the vision goes on to reveal, was not yet in dense physical form. The great goddess sits enthroned as ruler of this place. The ritual here was performed under her direction, its object being the actual production of life in form, the bringing into physical manifestation of life itself, coming from the etheric world. You see, in those supremely distant times, life in wholly physical form had hardly come into being yet. The ancient mother ritual, which eventually brought about the creation of life in physical form, came from the place called Mu, M-U, or the motherland. This temple of Avebury was the heart and center of all these ceremonies. The ritual was designed to invoke the occult, the invisible power of the gods, and then it was concentrated upon the movement of the cells and the building up of the form of bodies. These great stones of the temple came into physical manifestation from the etheric forms created by ritual by these spiritual people. I feel that all these stone temples in Britain were built by materialization from etheric form. Now I am aware of movement, of music, of harmony, of sound, the music and the rhythm of the earth and the whole solar system. All are attuned in unison. This tells me that this ancient ritual was linked with powers inherent in the solar system itself, and that the people knew how to contact outer space. All this was millions of years ago. At least it seems to me like millions of years ago. I can see the races come and go, come and go, come and go, while ages pass. I see a great civilization work up to a climax and then decline. Afterwards, a period follows when the land is overrun with people like savages. Then yet another civilization grows up, and then another follows on that one. At one time, the people living here were like the American Indian. They had red skins and appeared very tall and had a noble bearing. Men today look like midgets by comparison. The grander the spirit became, the bigger grew the body. After death, these people were buried in the center of Avebury Temple, lying in a circle, with their feet to the middle, like a big clock face might look. Originally, this place was one of the great creative centers of this planet. The Great One, who once ruled here, seems to me to have an immense headdress suggestive of a crown. But its several points are like magnets attracting force and power down to them from the heavens. I see sparks glittering at the points of the crown. Now I see that the goddess is in a procession up the avenue of stones towards Silbury Hill, and I see her enthroned on Silbury Hill. Silbury Hill is an artificial man-made hill about a quarter of a mile west of Avebury, and it was located at the head of the dragon. This is the belly of the dragon. Yeah.
That's like the mounds in Ohio, Serpent
Yes.
Mound.
Yes.
Yep.
Exactly. This was an immense procession. Some of the people went before the goddess, and the rest followed. All the etheric life, such as gnomes and fairies, joined in the procession as well. Now I see ritual movement about an
Fairies.
altar.
Mid-Earth.
Fairies? Yeah.
Yeah,
fairies.
Middle Earth fairies.
Mhm. Yes.
Yay.
Mhm.
We were there once.
We were there.
Yeah.
I've had dreams.
Yeah. Now I see ritual movement about an altar in the center of a vast congregation. Perhaps the great ceremony is over. These standing stones at Avebury now look to me like shrunken remnants of what was once a far more vast temple. It was built in 3 sections. First came the inner temple, then a space, and then another wall of circle of stones. Again, a space, and then another wall, and then the open sanctuary. Pillars, vast beyond belief, supported the temple. I am losing my vision. I am coming back into this earth. Life looks so feeble now. The village now looks like a lot of toy things set down in a haphazard way. And that ends this vision. The foregoing message would seem to take us back into almost inconceivably remote time when it refers to the creation of physical form from etheric substance and communication with a form of life existing on the moon at the time, which we must conceive as existing, like Earth life itself, at an etheric rather than a physical level. Through ages since, the moon's influence has been subtly connected with the woman and the creation of life. Remnants and indications of mother worship exist throughout the world, and many students of ancient monuments in Britain state that mother worship was at one time generally accepted. In the book The English Downland by H.J. Massingham, the author suggests, may not Avebury have been the temple/tomb of the supreme goddess of heaven and earth, and the abodes beneath the earth, who died with the winter and was reborn with the awakening of nature in the spring. End quote. Rightly did the ancient wisdom incorporate the mother as its symbol of worship, and also wisely, because the same forms of worship will surely return one day, bringing in their train both peace and plenty. It is right that womanhood as a whole should be housekeeper entrusted with the earth's bounty, and the womb of the mother as the receptacle of life itself, created by love, has played at least an important part in the affairs of mankind, as has the male's over-eager intellect. True, the male has dominated the female for many centuries, but it has not always been so, and in time to come, the order will again change, and woman will take her rightful place as the visionary partner in a relationship. As with the vision at Wayland's smithy, that was in a previous chapter, while this book was being compiled, shorthand notes of a much earlier vision received in October of 1949 by chance came to light. There are differences between the two messages, and they may well touch different strata of human experience. But there are also striking points of similarity, and they tend to conform one another, particularly since the first had lain utterly forgotten for so long. Both appear to reach far back to that Edenic period. Edenic means, before the fall. Already referred to before man had been wholly bound down in matter. Second vision of Avebury, October 1949. So the second vision that she's relating here took place first, 17 years previously to the one I just read. I can now see figures in flowing robes of what appeared to be white ether. They come in right up the avenue of stones to this circle in which we are sitting. And they circle round and round until they reach the very center, where they create a central point, like an altar. And on this altar, I see a warm, rosy fire. The concentration of the ceremony is on the fire. At a certain point comes an outpouring of rosy light, the warmth of the fire. Then there seems to be the manifestation of a great being. A great fountain of light rises and spreads all over the surrounding country. They are very big people with beautiful bodies and a beautiful physique. Oh, this is a temple of magic. There are fairies and elemental beings here uniting with the human beings in joy. The human beings seem to be almost worshipped by these elementals as gods. And they were gods in those days who had control over the elements. And they were gods because of the light which had been released in them, which they had brought with them to the earth from the invisible ethereal planets. Yes, there were god men and god women here at that time. I think that these things happened before the earth.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Like with ancient Egypt, I think at the same time. Like
Yes.
the gods and the goddesses in Egypt, and then here this place.
Yeah.
Wow.
Harmony, balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even in Mesoamerica, well, North America too, it was just wiped out. But
Right.
I think that was all the same time.
Yeah.
The golden age that we
Yes.
call it, the time of Atlantis,
Yeah.
whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it.
Mhm.
I mean, I do, and of course it was wiped out by that comet 12,000 years ago. And the Earth is on that 26,000 year cycle, which actually like moves us a degree into the zodiac.
Right.
And you talk about the spirals and stuff, and that makes a spiral type shape. And
Mhm.
and then us in the galaxy, in the universe period, our whole solar system makes like an S shape.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and we were on this like 12,000 years ago, we were at the top and started heading down into that spiral. across the
Yeah.
galactic center.
Right.
And now we're heading back up across
Yeah.
that spiral.
Yeah.
It's like
the
a
galactic
like a
center.
like a sine wave in
Yeah.
mathematics. It's like a sine wave.
So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. All
So
is
we're gonna
vibration.
get some gods back.
All is vibration.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
That's
us.
it.
We're gonna
Yep.
become gods.
Yep.
We're gonna
Yeah,
do this.
it's the winter solstice right now,
Yeah.
galactically
Yeah.
speaking, for us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
eclipse that you're I mean the described because here is the and we go away from it and we come back to it.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
what you
Right.
Yeah. Like this.
Right.
Like a snake.
the
Yeah.
eternal eight in how is
Mhm.
that's in the tarot the
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
And Mercury is the fastest planet, and it's the communicator that communicates from the universe to us. And his orbit is 88 days. Also,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what
It's
I
all
love
connected.
is you hit the part about moon and people living on the moon.
hmm
Mhm.
Yes.
And
That's
so do we
amazing.
have any evidence of people living on the moon? Usually when people live in places, they live in structures. This all refers me back to my friend Donna Hare, who worked in NASA, who said there are structures on the moon and that they airbrush out the pictures. And she worked at the department that airbrushes out the pictures. And so, you know,
Some people believe that the moon, the real moon, is hidden from us by holographic technology.
Yeah, they say that, yeah. it's
and,
funny.
and all that's very, all that's very possible. What gets me is, so when you go out to JPL's website, you can actually see the airbrush pictures from
Yeah.
structures on the moon.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
there's obviously very large things on the moon, which
Mhm.
it doesn't mean that it's ancient. I found it fascinating that that was one thing that in the department she worked in, they said that some of the structures on the moon look new and others look ancient. The first Apollo mission, when they flew over the moon, they said the first thing they said is it looks like cities down there.
Yeah.
And so I find it fascinating how all this keeps going back to things that are only recently being uncovered. But anyway, the point was that, so they've been airbrushing, structures and things on the moon. They've been airbrushing them out for a very long time. I personally think,
And no doubt Mars as well.
Oh yeah.
I think they went to the moon. I don't think that I don't know that it was the trip that they said it was on, but I don't think they shared with us what they found. I don't think there would be any benefit.
Right.
But
Well,
do you think that
Black
ancient-
Ops fund the real space program,
Yeah.
not the BS one. That NASA is just a cover story. There's a real space
yeah.
program.
Oh yeah.
And it's what they always do.
Mhm.
That's not. They lie again.
Yeah.
Rockefeller history, Rockefeller science.
Yeah.
They do it all over the place. But when someone says it and it doesn't fit our narrative or what we feel is true, then we're quick to deny it. But we know these people lied to us about everything.
Right.
So if there were ancient structures on the moon that held some technology or something because the reptilians made it up there, the people of Lemuria, whatever, they made it up there.
probably there's fleet also the moon. I have that idea that they were great. Also that goddess society there, and they maybe.
And that could be the simple economic reason as to why they lie about ancient history and they keep us thinking we're just from stupid cavemen, because they're making weapons of war and they're looking for technology to make weapons of war with. And the only way you're going to do that is you keep people's past hidden from them.
I believe it's Chinese, but there is ancient texts, and I think it's from China, that talk about the time before the moon.
Wow.
And so there was a time before the moon,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
and our moon is perfectly placed.
Mhm.
Like
Perfectly what?
perfectly placed to
Okay.
affect tides, to affect things on Earth, like the distance between the Earth and the moon and the sun and all that.
Yeah.
I can't
It is
recall right
perfect.
now, but it's perfectly
Oh,
placed. And but what's different is that like all the other planets, their moons, our moon is unique. It is not like any other moon, known moon in the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
one side always faces
some people
us.
say that the moon is artificial. Is
And it
that
rings like a bell.
it was manufactured.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the orbit is artificial, right? The fact that it's not rotating is artificial.
Yes. Yeah.
And when they sent I think it was when one of the probes or one of the Apollo missions, I think it was, landed on the moon, they said it rang like a bell, right? Because they have seismographic machines on the moon. And when the aircraft landed, it rang like a bell that the moon is hollow, you know, so and walked the Death Star theories. And so what I think about is, and then it's funny, right? Like you make it ridiculous and you get rid of it. So, you know, it would make sense to put Death Star in Star Wars if you were trying to make ridiculous of the idea that there could be a structure that large that's hollow. And I don't know if any of that's true. I find it fascinating.
It's fascinating.
Cool.
The Oumuamua asteroid that just came through our solar system, that Stephen Hawking said he doesn't necessarily think it's an asteroid, that he thinks it might be an ancient alien craft, that the orbit that it came in was the trajectory would take it right around Earth and right back out, like it's a probe taking pictures or doing some assessment and then leaving, and that it sped up when it left. You know, and of course Stephen Hawking died shortly after, and then now I think it's a Harvard professor who was going along with that theory, who's saying that this was an artificial object, an artificial orbit. I don't know.
Well, also, right, if about it. So all these, the Golden Age, Great Societies, whatever, they built everything naturally, right? They used stone.
Yes.
And they understood magnetic fields and frequencies and vibrations and sounds and you know what I mean? The stars, whatever.
That's why they could manifest, like, I think, instantly almost.
Right. So if you were intelligent enough, a species like, because we don't use our resources properly or anything like that, and if we were an actual intelligent, evolved species, we would use our resources much differently, right? Most effective as possible. So if you're an intelligent species from another planet, your spaceship isn't going to look like metal flying disc on gasoline like we would do. It would be natural. It would be something that could use the rotations of the planets and the orbits to travel and be most efficient. You know what I mean? So it's possible.
Yeah. Well, the most efficient shape isn't what we make. You know, we're not as efficient as what AI would be, right? If we made an AI and we sent it out in space and we said, you know, make ships, fly to new galaxies, record the data, send it back, make more ships from the, you know, material in that galaxy, fly to a new galaxy, send it back. If we actually do that, in which we will do that eventually. So if anybody's ahead of us, they already done it. It would make the most efficient shape from the most efficient materials with whatever was available. So we have no idea what it would look like. It could be stone, it could be rock, it could be carving out asteroids and just using those as, you know, ships or probes in between solar systems, which is a vast distance between them, or it could be biological, right? Both just post that. It could just be where you're growing, you know, you're growing a craft, or you're using species like the tardigrade that goes dormant in space. You're using some sort of biology that allows you some sort of protective barrier, but you don't actually have to make it. You just grow it, or you 3D print it. So yeah, all of that is, you know, plausible. And I don't know if it's true, but I just know that what we're taught in school and Rockefeller schooling is completely wrong.
Yeah.
Well, and like, does it even have to be a ship, right? Because like Thoth talks about how he traveled with his mind, right? And and an initiation of the power of your mind and the free will, you can fly. You know what I mean? So, and like his ship is under the Sphinx, and we can never find it. But they found that Osiris chamber, which the way it's set up, it has to be some kind of energy thing,
That is
right? And It says you
It
can
is.
go into the sarcophagus to travel to the stars. So what if
Yeah, but that
traveling
is,
isn't? It's more like mental, your spirit, not your actual physical. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's kind of that, but I think they can collect that kind of energy and in a kind of consistency, and that energy was like extremely powerful. So that's why Atlantic they used those tools, like godlike tools, because the power they could use that was put in those kind of tools. So, but that's the script described in the initiation, and they didn't use it quite well. So it's like atomic power, so they exploded
Right.
whole Atlantic. So, but it's a kind of frequencies. It's not like it's,
Right.
Yeah.
how
No,
the
Well,
that was cute. You were like, they couldn't use it well, so they exploded the Atlantic. Haven't it
and
changed much?
and both sides also said it right there. I mean, we are on a spaceship. We're on a spaceship called Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're barreling through space, and so
Yes,
you know,
we
just
are.
Yeah.
more confirmation, and
Right.
that what's the easiest way to travel between maybe galaxies? It might be millions of years on the right structure.
Right.
If you are a species that lives forever, you're Thoth, and you want to take a ride on Earth, then maybe you go to the haunt of Aventi and you go to sleep for 1,000,000 years, and you wake up because what is our solar system didn't come from the Milky Way galaxy; it came from the Sagittarian galaxy,
Yeah.
and we merged with the Milky Way, a bigger galaxy. And they're saying in another 100,000,000 years, whatever it is, we're going to be a part of a different galaxy.
Andromeda.
So maybe Thoth just put his thumb up and he wanted to ride with us for a little bit. We were crazy and stupid, and we wear face diapers, and we're susceptible to persuasion of television commercials and lying Bill Gates and Fauci's. And he said, "You know what? I can't do this. I'm going to sleep. Y'all blow each other, make a nuclear weapon. It's not going to affect me. I'm going underground because I can't tolerate y'all's nonsense." And he just went under there, and he went to sleep in a taxi, and then Earth is going to get to where it's supposed to be going.
Yeah.
See, now you see why I don't smoke drugs. People ask me all the time, "Oh, you smoking cannabis? You should do some mushroom." Did you just what came out of my mouth? I don't need to smoke no drugs. I got enough problems in my head.
So because I wrote this down and I'm hoping I remember it the way I thought it when he was reading. But he was saying something about, so she was there at a moon ceremony, and because like we bring this up all the time, right? And it's so like the divine knowledge was a lot of times it related to the serpent knowledge, and which kind of freaks me out because we talk about reptiles and stuff, and it starts getting all matrixy. Like I said, I'm really having breakdowns lately. But like, are they good or are they bad? What is going on? And but anyway, so the moon, the north node and the south node, right? They're the lunar nodes in astrology, right? And they shift every 18 months. And for some reason, a lot of these ancient sites marked out those time periods. Even the Mayan calendar was based, its 8-year cycles was based on the lunar node shift out of Gemini and Sagittarius when they flipped back and forth. And so they're not an actual like thing in the sky, but for some reason the energy can be scientifically measured, and it creates a squiggle, a serpent shape. And then we have the serpent mounds, and spirals, and I mean, I don't ever know where any of my thoughts lead, but I know it connects.
It connects. It does. Yeah.
So, but that's the fun and interesting thing, that you put your thought out, and someone else connects a dot for you. And to them, their thought could be random and out to lunch, but we work together as a hive mind. It's like, well, that actually makes some weird kind of sense, and there's a piece missing, and then John chimes in and Christine chimes in, and this is who we should be. We should be an open source web of humans all over the planet. The only reason that we're held back in evolution is we're not allowed to actually have open source conversation because they're scared, like you said before, Susan, they're scared to death of us. They are scared to death. The things that they are willing to do to keep us in PTSD type conditions, environment, GDPs, societies that make us psychopathic, censoring and shutting. They'll do anything they can to keep human beings from talking. We must be the most powerful thing in the universe.
Yeah, because we are awaking. They know we are out of our sleep. So, and that's their downfall.
Yeah, they have food anxiety. They're afraid that their food source is going to leave. It's going to simply say no. And that's it. Because this is a free will universe, consent can be given or removed at any time because time does not exist. Everything is now.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I know
he is there.
I know the reptilian thing sounds crazy. I really do, but like even in the Emerald Tablet, I think it was in the Emerald Tablets. I don't know, but
they're everywhere described in every ancient also.
Yes, and it's either the Egyptian Book of the Dead or the Emerald Tablets. That's the first law ever to man is not to eat another human, another god.
It's in all of our oldest literature.
God. Yes. Yeah.
Fairy tales, vampires, werewolves, supernatural ogres, witches, supernatural predators.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the Queen of England. The Queen of England's probably about 12 billion years old.
There's a bunch of like cartoon reptilians, and then freaking the Queen of England. That's great.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it? Yeah.
I was looking up the Hopi ant people, and I wonder if the ant people actually had a reptilian look to them. Did they ever draw any pictures of the ant people?
Oh, yeah, there. Yeah. Wow.
Maybe that was another evolution.
The double horns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the antenna from the ant.
Yeah.
Maybe that was another evolution of, reptilians had their shot, the dinosaurs or whatever, the birds, which is technically, I guess, what they would be.
Probably.
The ants, bugs, they
what Beaufont says there, how we perceive time is our gravity in a manner of speaking. Well, that gets back to Einstein's, connection between time and gravity and his theories of relativity. Time is the perception that we have in this plane of existence, if you will, but it doesn't exist anywhere outside of this place.
And it doesn't have to exist here either.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Well, we have a lot of gravities. No, right. Well, all the illusions are gravities. Politics is a gravity. The whole gender separations, the racial separations, the nationalisms, everything that confines us to not moving to the next level is a gravity. Artificial scarcity, money, fossil fuels, all these things are in that the way he's using it. All these things are holding us down. We have to be able to release them and move forward. They have a polarizing force that keep us from evolving and moving forward.
Yeah, they're nice pictures. Yeah, I think so. The evolution that people evolve in more ant-like. I think that it's kind of evolution also, and that at some point, I don't know, you fall out of another circle of evolution. It's my thought about it. Yeah, we are.
Beezy was a new homie that's hanging around the set. Mentioned the Dogon tribe, and that's another one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Dogon tribe, they were the ones, they knew of was it Orion or Sirius? They knew of a solar system where it said where they were from, where the gods came from, and they should not have known what it was. And so they've got this tradition of also, wearing masks, and people relate that to sky gods, the ones that they worship. But they had evidence of things. They knew things about the solar system that they should not have known.
Right.
But yeah, that was
advanced mathematics.
Yeah. And that one picture of the mask they have on, that looks like the symbol for the web of word.
This one right here, the other
It's a Norse rune. It's like
Yes.
the web of word, the weaving of life.
Ah, yeah, the
Reminds me
the
of
web light, yeah.
energy. Yeah. Reminds me of energy nexus.
And I guess the funny thing to me is that, I mean, that's really what you would do to preserve
one.
history is you would pass it down through tradition.
Mhm.
You would hand it down
That's
and,
true.
you know, statues and through costumes and tradition, you know, that's how you would keep those things going.
Oh,
Well,
and
one,
the 3 stars in Orion's belt, they have planets. They have planets and multiple stars. We only see them as 3, but there's
Mhm.
more than that in the belt.
and then of course that gets us over to the whole alien Betty and Barney Hill abduction, where when Barney something was wrong with him. He was I don't know, they were sticking some probes in his butt or his ear or something, and he couldn't think or talk. She was talking to the alien through ESP, and the alien told her, "We came from this star system, and it has so many planets and such an orbit." And they hypnotized her.
Yeah.
And she drew the solar system, and it was very close to what the real one was. And no one back then knew what that real system looked like. Right? These are all these evidences that we have no idea. No idea what influences this planet. Maybe the zeitgeist is controlled by multi-dimensional creatures or things in the future, or damn it, they could be in the past or from another planet. Who knows? There's just so much we don't know. Wonderful time to be alive. We put Jonathan to sleep.
No, I'm here. I am kind of low energy today, but I'm here.
Let
me finish this section here and
shoot them out.
You guys will appreciate the end of this section. This is the second vision that she has here. I think that these things happened before the earth was yet solid.
Wow.
It was in a more etheric and fluid state. I can hear the beat, beat, beat of these people walking solemnly, and then at a given moment, the sun broke through. Not the physical, but the spiritual sun broke through into the mind, into the consciousness of the people. The great white light. The light shines. The light. I can see people here sitting around in a vast amphitheater, watching this ceremony in the center, and the priests and priestesses passing round and round, building up this core, this center of creative fire. There seems to be a nucleus right in the center of this circle, which holds everything in its course. It attracts everything to it and holds it. And I see these beings working up this power as they revolve around this central point, this core. Men were taught to concentrate on this one central point, this nucleus to which the electrons were drawn by centrifugal force. The neophytes were taught the secret of molding and moving matter by a tremendous effort of divine will. By fixing their minds securely on that one nucleus, that one central point. They could move stones. They could produce any form they wanted out of practically nothing. It was done by concentration on this central point of divine will. But there was always perfect form, always perfection. Whatever they wanted to create, they had to hold that vision in their spirit, in their mind, and it gradually materialized or was brought down from the mental level to the astral and then to the physical. These people were God men. They were not just of Earth. They were masters from other planets. They came on rays from other planets, and these rays all seemed to converge upon central points here in this island in Britain. These stones, as at Stonehenge, mark the place where these cosmic or planetary rays meet. People will learn that there are these points all over the British Isles where there was a concentration of planetary rays, and at such points there is a tremendous spiritual impetus and inspiration. These points are like the chakras of the light of this mystic island. This is an entrance here into the inner world, into the higher, the real world. Now I am getting the feeling of a mighty impact here, and of the earth being pushed off its axis. Terrific confusion. But this was not by accident. It was all in the plan to make another beginning on earth, to bring in a fresh stream of new souls. There is an old world and a new world, and this new world is born in the death of the old, or in a sense, in the crucifixion of the old. You must remember that whatever takes place in the outer or material world also takes place in the inner world, for there is always cause and effect. The cause lies in the inner world and the invisible, and the effect is seen in the outer and the visible. Every cycle of life takes this course from the inner to the outer, and from the outer back again to the inner, an in-breathing and an out-breathing. Although it might seem that this was a catastrophe, it was only a mighty manifestation, an involution and an evolution. A fresh out-breathing of souls was born to set out on the new evolutionary spiral. They had gone round and round the cycles of life, just as the people process round this temple. One day, our present cycle will arrive at the peak, and that central point again, the heart of the rose heart, the rose stone as at Stonehenge, the stone where they make or made the great sacrifice, the great surrender, and then a burst of light, release from bondage, release from physical matter, and rebirth into this eternal light. This happens to individual souls, but it also happens to the race. It happens to the entire universe. All is movement, pulsation, movement, just like cell life, ever growing and increasing. And every cell which increases is almost like a life period, which keeps being added to. This is a picture of eternity. Oh, it seems so strange to come back and open my eyes to this little earth and the people on it when I have been wandering in infinity. End of her vision.
Wow, it's wonderful.
Powerful, right?
Amazing. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. The next chapter's on Stonehenge. Maybe we can get to that next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that chapter is powerful as well.
So
Really
basically,
powerful.
they manifested the Younger Dryas.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it makes
Am I on?
perfect sense because, you know,
Okay, so basically, they manifested
Yeah.
the impact, right?
yes, they did. Because it was time.
Yeah.
That cycle was ending.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, Susan, it's like what you and I have been saying a long time now. At the end of cycles, some people are done, they leave. Other people are new, they come in. And a lot of people repeat it because they haven't learned yet. I think that's what she's describing here.
Well, then we better stop talking about comets. Manifest that shit.
Yeah. Well, I don't. I think that we're at the beginning
I
of
ain't
a Bronze
evolved enough
Age.
yet.
Now, I don't know too much. I think Christine probably knows more about the cycles and the yugas than I do. But
Yeah.
I think that we go from here into a Bronze Age, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're now in Sat, and we're actually the end of Kali Yuga. I mean,
Yeah.
we're actually already in Satya Yuga, and then comes
Right.
the other, the golden
Silver
age.
Age. Yeah.
Right.
Silver, yeah.
Right,
And then,
Yeah.
But we manifest by thinking, and we don't know how to think. So that's why we made such a mess. We
Right.
don't
Such
know
a
how to
mess.
Yeah.
manifest.
Mhm.
But that is creating karma, actually. We do it with our mind
Yes.
also.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because we manifested something and it comes in some time, it materializes. You say, oh no, I don't want
Well,
that, but we.
You know,
Mhm.
unconsciousness is a
Unconsciousness.
choice. It's a
Yeah.
choice. And it's like the song from the rock band Rush. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice.
Choice.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot escape choice. You can no more than you can escape causality and the consequences of your choices.
Which is why I choose to believe Admiral Byrd was telling the truth in his diary about inner Earth.
Yeah,
You know,
believe that
and the
too.
ancients and what they said about inner Earth. And I found it fascinating. I don't know if it was today or yesterday that what the Chinese made
The sun, yeah.
a sun, right? They
Oh my
made
God.
a fusion device that burns hotter than the sun. And while it was crazy in Admiral Byrd's day to say that he went in the inner Earth and they had some technology that was basically a sun, which made no sense back then. At least I don't think it did. In my narrative right now, it didn't. But now we created that technology, right? And so now it's adding, like, at a certain point in time, like for me, I don't believe I know it's true. But if the ancients are saying this in all these stories, people who are tapping into past life regressions are saying it. Admiral Byrd said it, and all, you know, at some point in time, we have to say, you know what, there's something to this. I'm, not convinced that people know what's in the inner earth, but if you got Siddhartha, you've got the ant people, you've got all the cultures, the Aborigines talked about it. And
The halls of Amenti are supposed to be within the earth.
So at some point, and then we make the technology to make a sun, and we're only a few days past space diapers. Like, of course they had these technology in ancient times, right? Of course there's ability to do things like that. Biggest oceans on the planet, they've already said are in the planet. Right? Through sensing, they can determine that there are large open caverns within the earth and oceans. And so there's water, there's air. Now you could have a sun. And if you want to ride through this spaceship through space, like Beaufort was talking about, because he's great space ghost doing his thing.
You need an engine.
I don't know how that fits in.
That explains it all, Gerard. Beaufort Saban is actually Space Ghost.
Get on board on a great space coaster. We'll explore on a ride of fantasy. I'm sorry. It's just weird. I don't know. So, but right, you would want to be on the outside of the spaceship. Why would you want to be the bug on the windshield? Only the dumb bugs are on the windshield, and that's us. We're on the outside of the spaceship. We die every 8,000 years because something bad happens. You want to be the smart bug that's on the inside of the spaceship. And so the species that live the longest, they're just down there. Thoth is taking a nap, and we're up here fighting over oil. All right, I know. I just had to bring up Admiral Byrd.
Oh, and so I don't know. I just wrote Creative Fire, so I don't know what part of the story that was. But Emerald Tablets again.
Yeah,
I love those. He talks about how the Earth's fire, right? And that's the pyramids and stuff was supposed to go deep into the earth to bring out the Earth's fire, which made basically free energy and positivity and kind of raised your vibration so you can more easily connect to the source. And and it also talks about your fire within you. Yeah. Like I said, I know it's all connected. I just don't know how.
in the Castaneda literature, the shamans of Castaneda's lineage claim that they have an alternate way of leaving this earth, and that is, as they say poetically, to ignite the fire from within, which is to basically illumine all the strands of consciousness within their energetic body simultaneously. And of course, his entire body of literature is practical in terms of discovering how to do that. So yeah, the fire from within.
Yep.
Definitely.
You guys remember these? The tracks in stone.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Ancient, they say they have to be hundreds of millions of years old, that somebody was riding around Earth two-wheeling in a cart and buggy.
In a car, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that, eventually over time, they became these stone pathways where you could see something happen millions of years. I got to find a good picture. Millions of years ago, 12 million years ago, they say these were the ancient tracks that were found in stone. And they're obvious, some form of technology that makes no damn sense. Maybe that was Bermuda Triangle, grabbed something, took it back, dropped off some kids in a dune buggy or ATV. Or 300 million years ago, something else was here.
Yeah.
Well, I think we.
Yeah.
And
Let
maybe
me call fake news on one though. Can I do that real quick?
Sure.
Mhm.
I call fake news on. I think I did a video on, and it was this one right here.
Mm-hmm.
These are the tracks in Pompeii.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
These were used as gutters, and I think I
Yeah.
might have shown that picture. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What were you saying, Susan?
I just think that we've and maybe we were ant people, and maybe we were, crocodile people at some point or something. But I think we've repeated the cycle of death and rebirth over and over again,
Yes.
many times. I don't think this is
Without
our
doubt.
first go around. And
Without
no, definitely not. But I mean on a grander scale of like 26,000 years. Because it's actually, I can't remember the exact number. It's like 25,720 something years or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it equals 9. Like reason
Yeah.
9. And
Reduces
The
to
end of
9.
the cycle.
reduces
Yeah.
to 9. Yeah. And but the 26,000 year cycle matches with the cycles that lead us to the golden age. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just think we've been here a couple times before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A few.
And like,
a few.
and I'm hoping my theory's right? That like, once we start getting this right, like we got to repeat this a couple times, but once we get this right, we get to be gods, create our own universe. That's what I'm going with.
Okay.
That's what I want to
Yeah.
do. That's what I'm going with.
And create universes.
Yeah.
if
gonna be
if
my
we
own
are
god.
if we are what the ancients say we are, then it is completely within our power to do that.
To do that. Exactly. Yeah. And I'm thinking that source is like, you made it. You get your own universe. That'd be great.
You get to take the lady with the poo-poo in the face diaper with you.
No, she ain't coming to my universe.
She won't be able to follow us. She
Yeah.
won't be able to follow
There's
us.
going to be like 20 people there in a whole universe.
The whole universe.
So, but the
I'm
fun
picky.
part too is in a previous life you were her in some people's theories. Like there are some theories that we all come back and we all live every single life that's ever been here, and it's a
Wow.
learning process. That there's something different about, I guess, us when they divide us, and that thing is a little different, slightly different in each lifetime, in that, we are just collecting data. We divide it up to collect data about experiences
Yeah.
and to put all the different, if it's 7 billion people, as an example, and all the different 7 billion scenarios over the 10 billion years, however long we've been here, and then all the variations from string theory, right? All the dividing timelines on every type of decision we can make, infinite level of information
Right.
that's being collected. Like we created this simulation to collect the data
Yeah.
for this thing called experience. So
And
you
that
were her, Susan. You just picked up some doo doo. And
no, I
wow.
didn't. No, I didn't.
Susan, not me. I'm not. That's
No,
not my theory.
I'm not that.
Not my theory.
He's gonna push that on you, Susan, until you
I
give
know.
in. Don't give in.
I'm not. Damn it! What were you just saying?
She's upset. No, it's not me.
I know. I'm getting really upset about this poopy face thing. Damn, no, but what did you just say, Gerard, before the face diaper?
I say every damn thing. People know
no,
me.
that's what I was gonna say.
Everything comes out my mouth.
That's why AI scares the shit out of me, because it seems very eerily similar to like what source would be.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
not natural.
It's not a source.
No, and I feel
That
like,
is the
like
thing.
yeah, and like they say now, oh, we can bring your loved ones back from the dead with AI
Like Biden
voice
said, the
stuff.
thing,
Yeah,
you know,
and you
the
can
thing,
live
you know.
yeah, and you can live forever if you upload your consciousness. But then it goes into like a hard box, like a hard wire, and then
Yeah.
like this meat suit ain't you. This is you. So then you're trapped forever in
Yeah.
some kind of fake
Right.
situation.
Hell no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no way.
No,
We need
y'all
to
bring
rethink all this.
Y'all let
If
Bill
they
Gates
get- if they
and
get that
Epstein
far.
and Fauci, y'all let them bring me back with Epstein and Bill Gates and them. I'm killing everybody. I'm
I
gonna
ain't
tell you every,
fucking no
it-
computer program at all.
We are
I'm gonna do
here.
more. I'm gonna
We
do
are
more.
here to
Right.
evolve. We are here to grow and to change and to
Yeah.
learn. And when we basically make it impossible for us to continue to evolve and grow and learn, the universe is going to say, "No, you won't. That is not your purpose." Oh, by the way, here's an asteroid for you,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
and that's it.
It goes that quick. Mhm.
Yeah.
There are consequences for your choices always.
And
Right.
no, I think the source is not gonna let it take that
No.
source to destroy
Absolutely.
his creation.
Yeah.
Right. No.
Right. Mhm.
Absolutely not. That's what my
Right.
guru said. You really think that the divine is gonna let you destroy the other earth? You can
Right.
destroy yourself, but you don't destroy my creation.
Yeah. Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly.
That is not gonna happen for
No.
sure.
And like we said before, the human spirit is it is the universe. It is the creator. So
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like it may suck, and 90% of the population may be wiped out by an asteroid if we don't.
Yeah, we can wipe ourselves out. That is no problem.
Mhm.
But we don't
Yeah.
have the power to wipe the universe out. I mean,
No,
whatever.
and there will always be something of it left to restart because
Yeah, but we should not go that far. I mean,
no, I
Yeah.
hope not.
otherwise you have to start all over again. Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. The hell.
I don't know why y'all made me think of this, but the Russian probe Phobos. Did y'all hear about that story where the Russians sent a probe? Somebody mentioned, oh, that's why. Somebody mentioned that China's going to Mars. The Russians sent a probe to Phobos, and the probe exploded. But just before the probe got there, but one of its last pictures,
Was an
Aliens
alien.
were there.
It was an alien taking a selfie.
well, let's not go there. Let's just say, so one of its last pictures was this, right? It was this, or last couple frames. And of course, they said the Russians didn't release everything. They only released part of it. But there were an obvious object that it photographed before the probe was destroyed.
Wow.
And of course, it's a long cylindrical object. It almost mimics what a lot of airplane, a lot of pilots have mentioned, seeing these long cylindrical object, spacecraft, whatever you want to call them. I don't know. I think about it. I wonder. Well, I'm not going to wonder. Somebody just mentioned Mars, and I found that to be interesting. I want to go back and actually reprocess that story from the perspective of we've had technology to probably fly to the moon for a very long time.
Mhm.
And you know, of course, the U.S. government probably got their hands on it, which isn't a government, it's a corporation. They got their hands on it after World War II, and so did the Russians, because that's what the Nazis were up to.
Right.
Yep.
How do we know that that really
Big,
was the
big reason behind paperclip.
on Earth, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. If we're talking about
Mhm.
inner Earth and people who've been here forever and they live in the Earth and they hang out there with those drinking beers and whatever they're doing,
Traveling in the Milky Way.
yeah, doing cocaine and everything, because the Egyptians did cocaine. You know,
Yeah, they did.
ship. He went over to Central America, came back with that coke. So if
You met the cartel.
hey, X-Files, we need some safe words. Pineapples. There's some voyages that we're not allowed to speak of at this moment in time. We have some stories we'll tell y'all way down the road. Our adventures with the cartel. So
Jeez.
we're still alive. That's all that matters.
Yeah, we're here. We made it.
I lost my whole damn. Oh, right. Cocaine, thoth. Well, how do we know that, you know, that you don't have people that have been here for thousands of years with this technology, and they're just kind of letting us live it out on the surface? And, you know, they knew that we weren't ready to go to Mars. And so, you know, they destroyed most of the probes that were sent up. And this is just one particular one where the probe got caught. We sent a probe up. They sent a probe, said, no, you guys aren't ready. You're not ready to be in space. And they could set us back and hold us back thousands of years behind them just by making it too expensive to evolve technologically, the same way our government does to us, right? There's no real science allowed in the public domain. It's all Rockefeller science. It's all science that's not based in their weapons of war or things that they utilize for profit in these industries. So just as they're keeping the governments are holding us back, you probably got the Rothschilds and Rockefellers holding the governments back in technology, and you probably got something holding them back. As above, so below, and you probably got some aliens eventually. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, and you
It's
can't go to
plausible.
Antarctica. Nobody can go to Antarctica.
Nope.
Yeah.
Unless you're Henry Kissinger, or you know,
Or
Yeah,
Al Gore,
or Soros,
Barack
or
Obama.
500 years old.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Some,
Yeah,
Well,
but
don't-
yeah, yeah.
that is for me
Not a
really kind of not that I don't understand, because Admiral Byrd was a good guy, as I understand about his diaries. So, but the inner Earth people, they would not let the elite come to visit them. I don't think so. They would destroy them.
You know that we have a friend here on Facebook who
Unless they're reptilian.
he works with one of Admiral Byrd's, I want to say nephews. I'm probably saying that wrong. And after I did a video on Admiral Byrd, he reached out to me and he said, do you want to interview him? I said, hell yeah. And he reached out to him, and then he came back and he just said that the diary was real, but he doesn't want to talk. He doesn't want to do any interviews or anything like that. That his diary of what happened.
Has it been published, Gerard? Is
The
the
diary?
diary published?
Yeah. No, you
Okay.
can read it. Yeah. Because what happened is he died.
Mhm.
And then after he died, you know, his family went through and they found the diary. And obviously these were things that he couldn't say after Operation High Jump, or he couldn't say it during. But after he died, they released the book.
Okay.
And I forgot the gentleman's name, but we do have a friend on Facebook who knows, you know, one of his family members. And the family member was just like, yep, the diary is real, but
Wow.
I'm not getting involved in talking about that.
Mhm.
You know, and so why can't we go to Antarctica? Well, they say why we can't go to Antarctica is, well, the flat earthers
Cold.
say that there's an entryway there, a great ice wall, and I don't know that I put that high on my plausibility thing. You know, the idea that there's an entryway
Mhm.
is not. I like listening to Linda Moulton Howe every now and then, and while I'm convinced a lot of what goes out into the public sphere is controlled opposition,
Mhm.
right? False information. It's hard to get past that Antarctica Treaty. It's really hard. There's something there.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I mean,
The
we have
one thing they all agree on is Antarctica is off limits to everybody but them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
That's
And there was
I
that
weird.
one.
don't believe that them are
Yeah.
allowed to go to inner Earth. They will not
Mhm.
allow because they don't have that high evolution. But
Yeah.
was the people of inner Earth were high evolved in on moral, and on high in every way. I think
Yeah.
those our elite does the opposite. They have no moral. They have no
Yeah.
ethics.
Inner Earth
That's
could
it.
be empty, and they're just there to take it, just like they did with the Library of Alexandria.
Isn't there something weird that satellites aren't allowed above a certain parallel to take pictures of Antarctica?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there was a Lyndon Moulton Howe whistleblower or a guy who just said, hey, you know, we had a flight, we had to go pick people up. There's some emergency scientist thing, and they were flying back, and they did see a massive cavern, you know, and not unlike what Admiral Byrd said that he saw.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just there's no way to know what's true. You know,
Yeah.
I
No.
like to believe the whistleblowers who come forward and say they are whistleblowers, not people just passing stories along. You know, but in general, I just keep my mind open to that stuff, and I just say that they lie about everything in the public domain. So whether you believe it or not, the answer is still the same, and that is
Yeah.
we can't have a world where governments have secrets. We can't have a world with secret
No.
societies. We have to have an open source world. And maybe that was what got JFK killed. There are probably a lot of things, but I think one of those was the philosophy that you can't have secret societies here. But you have no idea what these groups are up to and what level of technology they have that could either end all human life accidentally or intentionally.
You can either have liberty or you can have secrecy. You cannot have both.
You can't both.
Mm.
No.
No. And
Nope.
the idea that you can is simply naive and childish.
No, because if you think about it, a lie is everything in the opposite of what you need to build anything good or with substance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it's history, a society, a relationship, anything, a lie is the opposite of what I guess you should aim towards. Or if you want something stable that would grow, that would flourish,
Right.
it can't have lies.
It can't.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
The energies are anathema to each other.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, it's almost like if you have like a clear palm pond and you throw a rock in it, right? The lie is the rock. So now it's all these ripples that.
Yeah.
So now you got more rocks going in, and now all the ripples are weird and distorted.
The water is disturbed.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of weird things. The WikiLeaks, didn't they release some pictures of Antarctica, which made no sense? Why in the world would somebody release some just random pictures of Antarctica on WikiLeaks unless they were related to something? I theorized that if someone did that, it was probably just a statement that this is the photo roll I have. And obviously on this photo roll are some photos that you don't want getting in the public domain. They talk about archaeology in Antarctica. Like, we know that it was a tropical place, right? For very time. We found tree ferns there.
Yeah.
You know, so we know that it's been warm. And back to the Adam and Eve declassified document. Why in the world would the CIA classify a book called the Adam and Eve story? Well, one thing it went through was that when the pole shifts, Antarctica defrosts for like hundreds of years.
Right.
And when it defrosts, you know, that all the archaeology sites, the things that they live are up there, and perhaps, you know, there's that where that hole is, and it defrosts where you can get in and out of it. I don't know.
Well,
I just think
and another thing, John Anthony West, the symbolist Egyptologist, and I don't remember the name. Susan probably remembers the name of the geologist that he worked with, proving that the walls of the enclosure of the Sphinx, the erosion of those walls was created by water, not wind.
I know his
As
name.
official Egyptology. What's his name?
Robert Schoch.
Robert Schoch, that's right.
I remember. I didn't know if
They proved that was done by water erosion, not wind erosion.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
if you calculate the amount of rainfall that actually exists on the Giza Plateau, it proves that the age of the Sphinx enclosure is way older
Yeah.
than what official Rockefeller Egyptology says it is.
Well, in an interview, Robert Schoch said that he's putting it at 8 to 10,000 years ago that it would have had to have been built,
Right.
but 8 to 10, and he does that. It's like his job's on the line, right? Like his whole career.
Yeah, sure.
He's trying to be like gentle with estimates. You know what I mean? Because they want to say 5,000, and you know he's probably trying to say like 30,000.
Yeah,
But
sure.
Right.
More.
Yeah.
But my
A
thing
million.
is, if the water to cause that erosion was 10,000, 12,000 years ago, then they were built before that,
Yeah, of course.
Before the last
Right.
ice age.
right?
Really.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Because it was
When-
the ice
when-
melt that made it.
Probably the whole world's climate was different. Weather patterns were different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely. And that's,
Yeah.
of course, around the time that Plato places Atlantis in. You know,
Right.
Yes.
10
Exactly.
to 12,000 years ago.
That's what I mean. It's really all. I know I say it all the time, but it really is all connected. Like,
It is.
and it's like these little clues. And it's like if we could just all work together and stop being in this damn matrix, worried about stupid shit, we could literally discover mysteries to the universe. Like, for real. Like, we could fly if we wanted to. People, let's get this together. Like, for real. I know I joke about it, but I'm serious.
People
You
are
can do
content to crawl and to eat mud and and their own shit when they are gods and they could fly.
Yeah.
Insane.
Not to go back to Antarctica before we get off of that. I mean, you know, so people talk about how we can go to Antarctica, and we do have a friend also on Facebook whose, I think, brother works at McMurdo Station, or cousin, I forgot, whatever it is. And, you know, her point was that, well, yeah, they let my brother go anywhere he wants. Like, he can get out in the snow machine and just kind of go bopping around. And this is what I always think of when people say that, right? This is Antarctica versus the size of the United States. And consider that we don't even know what the hell is in the United States, right? We're still trying to figure out, did they find the red-headed giants? We're finding snake mounds, the mound builders, all these things. Antarctica is significantly larger than the United States. And so, you know, and it's not like whatever's there is just sitting out in the open. It's under, you know, half a mile, a quarter mile, a couple miles of ice.
Right.
Anything could be there, and we would know nothing about it. Even if we sent expeditions down there with 1 million people, it would still take hundreds, if not thousands of years to find the different archaeological sites or dig them up or whatever. You know, so there is something really creepy about Antarctica, and I don't think it's the oil and the minerals, you know,
I don't think so.
that pact that only government can go there, and that you can't have a military there, but all of a sudden now we got all the nations have militaries there, and you can't go there as a citizen unless you get approval for multiple nations, and everywhere you go, they need to be able to watch you and track you. And so it's just there's too much creepy about what goes on down there.
Yeah, that's because Alien Asian 2021, it's on their agenda.
Making the ship the stage invasion.
Yeah.
I'm good with
They're
that too.
set off the spaceships from Antarctica.
Oh yeah, so about to release them.
Well, they're spaceships, right? You got to put them somewhere. Where else are you going to put them? You know, and that's one thing, because whatever's in Antarctica, it's something all the world's governments would collude on. It's something that they agree on because they all sign the pact and they all keep it to themselves. And if it's a staged alien invasion to give Project Bluebeam,
Bluebeam is starting from there.
All the governments agree with that.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I mean, so
At
2020, some people are scared of a virus. I think that things are a lot more orchestrated than what we want to give credit for.
Yeah.
But to a degree, it was a stage
If they're
alien.
scared of a virus, then Bluebeam, but they follow that.
Oh, I'm gonna be outside. Like, are they holographic? Can we walk through them?
Yeah.
Putting your finger in the hologram. Where's the
Don't be
solid
free.
point?
They'll be,
I'll tell you,
they'll be coming out with the anal swabs.
No, they didn't have swabs. That was probes. They were metal probes. That's what the guy from Fire in
They're
the
like, we're
Sky.
here to save you from COVID.
No, they were metal probes. That's what he was saying from the abduction. No, if they're real aliens and they really want to eat us, I'm gonna be the first to die because I'm not gonna hide in the house. Like, when I hear that World of War.
If you are a space-going alien race, why the hell would you come billions of miles to come to this shithole of a planet to eat human beings? That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And yet people are going to fall for that shit.
So
that's
what politicians do. Aliens do.
Process this for a minute. Like, if you, I don't know, what do people eat? They eat cows. I guess people eat cows. They still eat cows. So if you saw a cow just walking around with just a chunk of just feces on its nose, that probably wouldn't be the first cow that you'd want to eat.
No.
So if we got people that are picking up their dog doo-doo with their face diapers,
go again,
and then putting their face diapers back on their face, why
he is obsessed. He's obsessed, Susan.
It boggles my mind. Why? I'm scared of that. I'm scared. You know why I'm scared? Because it looked like she was a pretty woman.
Oh my God.
There we go. There we go.
Jonathan, here you go. Jonathan, you can back me up on this.
Okay.
On dating profiles, we need a checkbox for if I pick up dog doo-doo with my face diaper and put it back on my face. Because there's a whole lot of women out there who don't need kisses.
Well, I'll tell you, the last date I went on, it was months ago, and we had a conversation, and we got onto masks, and she was like, "Well, I'm not completely convinced that vaccines are dangerous. I'm thinking of taking the vaccine." End of that one. That was over.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah,
Not gonna happen.
Not
I went on a date months ago, and he was like, like last year or something, and he was like, sitting there during dinner, and he's like, "Yeah, well, I just got the flu shot," and I was like, "Let me put my mask back on."
Susan starts doing this, backing away from the table as far as she can get.
Yeah, I was polite, but there was no kiss goodbye.
That is a very important question.
Yeah.
Oh my.
I would hold my breath because it's shedding, right? Because you're shedding that stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm about to get sick.
Hey, we need the social distance. Hey. Gates said we need a social distance. We need to be 60 feet out of it.
6 feet apart, man. Follow the government.
Oh my gosh.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do y'all?
Adventures in Caliuga. Caliuga dating.
Skip.
There's a movie. It's called Dating at the End of the World or something like that. It's just like, I mean, we literally. I'm sorry. I think about who do I need to spend the apocalypse with. I do think about that. And it's just like, I'm not with anybody that trusts the government. You trust the government, you're not going to be within miles of me. Let alone my kids. Hell no. These people are crazy. Trusting Bill Gates. Wow. Come on now. And people know this. I think they're too scared to accept it.
Yeah.
That they're far too obedient.
Yeah.
And then history would let common sense allow.
Right.
But if there's women out there wearing face diapers that pick up dog doo-doo, I need to know who you are. I need to know. I need to know. No. Can we have a
Yeah, every time
it's
you
nice
meet
to meet you. Can I have a hug? No, sister girl. No.
I know.
And,
I know. Actually, those vaccine
no.
certificates might be a good idea because it'd be like, can I see your, can I see which ones you got? And then when he's like, I don't have one, I'd be like, all right then.
I told people in my family, I said, you go ahead and get your shot. You make sure you get a sticker because I need to be reminded of
Yep.
Thanksgiving who to
Right.
stay with the hell away from. Oh, well, Aunt Tuli, she made the casserole. She did, and she got that shot. We're gonna pass on the casserole this year. We'll see how it goes next year with people who eat it. You know.
Okay. Yeah,
As
yeah, it will just
soon as we see what's actually in that shit. Yeah.
when it's out, there will not be so much left anymore. Then we can choose. I just wait till out here.
Yeah.
There's a simple
Just gotta
rule.
wait for the vaccine to run its course, and we're gonna
Yeah.
have lots of land.
Yeah, lots of land, lots of.
That meme you posted today was hilarious.
That was
my-
perfect.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never, ever let anybody play with your DNA. I mean, that should be the first lesson in
Insane.
preschool.
No blood
I'm-
anymore.
I'm,
and
sorry.
then-
I'm sorry. They have earned what they're going to receive. They really do.
Yeah.
Never.
Causality. You know.
I'm gonna hit a Jennifer comment. Then that's my last word. I'm done. I'll let y'all have the last word. Get out of here. But yeah, so Antarctica is melting.
Mhm.
And what's happening is people are finding what they think are structures in Antarctica. Like there are groups of people who do it and all they do is look over the satellite pictures. And there's no way that they can like hide everything, but they're starting to see like shapes, squares and rectangles where they think they were like old ancient sites or something like that. So there are groups that actually do that, Jennifer. And who knows? Who knows? Any last words you got?
We don't know.
I wanted to mention about the
Yeah.
DNA, right? Because I saved it, but like you know how I get sometimes, and I'm like, I gotta tell everybody about their DNA, how great it is. And but it was a thing I saved, and it said that your DNA is so divine that they have been genetically modifying your food to try to change it.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Wow, that's
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what GMOs are about, really.
good.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, think about how they poison our water, they poison our air, they poison our food.
Yeah, but
They
they want
genetic-
to. They want to destroy the creation. They want to
Right.
destroy. I think they can destroy the source, but that's not possible. That's what they
Nah.
want.
That's the insanity of it, isn't it, Christine? They're
Yeah.
actually trying to cut off our connection with Source.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
crazy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane.
You're the
And-
perfect
Insane.
evolved machine. You are the
Mhm.
perfect evolved machine for this
Yes.
ecosystem. You actually don't need them for anything.
No.
And they have to break your body. They have to break your DNA from functioning the way it should in order to control you. I
I think
totally
it-
agree with that.
I think it's easier to separate the spirit when your body isn't the way it's
Yes.
like healthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way it's supposed to function
Mhm.
in the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay.
All right, last words. We're out here. Unless anything
I know,
crazy,
3
anybody- I
hours,
think we hit
so-
everything. Everything but
did
the
a
mermaids
marathon.
and Loch Ness. Bigfoot. We hit
Oh, we could do
everything.
Bigfoot and Skunk Ape next time. No, I'm kidding.
Huh?
Bigfoot
Bring
next
all my
time.
family members. Skunk Ape.
Okay.
Go find
Let's
here.
dream. Let's we make a pot and we take a subject out of it and then we talk about it.
Oh, we could
Yeah.
do that.
That would be good at it. We have
Yeah.
have
Yeah,
ideas, we write
divine
it down.
inspiration. You never know what's going to be picked out of the
Yeah.
pot.
Shoot, we could do a mystical creatures series.
That would
Just
be
go
nice.
through the mystical like I spent time recently with the jinn, right? The jinn from
the jinn
old,
from Africa.
Mediterranean lore. You know, the jinn that were, they say were the shapeshifters, skinwalkers, the Native Americans talked about them. And there
The
were
genie
synergies.
Of the lamp
between-
comes from the jinn.
Huh?
The genie of the lamp.
Right.
That story comes from the jinn. Yeah.
Right.
But and you have
So-
and you have in the Arabian world they say at night the jinns are you don't go outside. I mean, like you walk in the desert or something like that. There is no, you cannot do that because the jinns are there. Just read it actually. I was reading about a love story about a Western woman with a sheikh, and then all the difference and things like that.
You know, the
But he talked also
the
about
Arabian stories, the Arabian, fairy tales. They're all about jinns. Well, Arabia is a desert. That's where jinns hang out.
Yeah.
That's where they hang out. Yeah.
Hang out in the desert.
Right.
I'm on board. I'd love to do a series about mythical creatures, right? Because there were even dragons and great birds that I forgot the name that the Arabs had for the great birds, but it also it coincides with the Thunderbirds, right? The Thunderbirds Native Americans talked about. It would be interesting to like link up mythical creatures with
that's nice, and also the symbolic.
Yeah, very symbolic.
A lot of them are symbolic. So anyway, think about it, process it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But just real quick, right? Guess what? American Gods, again, you people have to watch that too. So I learned there's not just jinns, there were hinns, Hinns, and they were like the more angelic angel good type things. They were like the jinn, but they were good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they were like mischievous and maneuver things, but they did it and manipulate people, but they did it to try to push them towards a good way.
Everything is polarity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything is polarity.
Definitely
There's
polarity.
a light and a dark for everything.
And in the Arab lore, they would say that the jinns weren't necessarily good and bad. They were just jinns. You get a little mixed bag of this, that, or the other. And so maybe it is like the angels and the demons. Maybe we're all screwed up with this idea of good and bad anyway. You know, maybe they're just polarity sides that are doing things, and even within the sides, there's spectrum of what they're trying to do, like it is now.
In Shakespeare, the fairies are mischievous because human beings are idiots.
That's true.
And the fairies, the way they interact with Theseus and Hippolyta, who are evolved human beings, they respect them. Right. But the four lovers that get lost in the forest during Midsummer Night's Dream, they mock them and play games with them and mislead them because they don't know themselves. But when they wake up after the dream, then they are beyond the follies that they were once in, and the fairies leave them alone. And bless them. And bless them.
Stories.
Yeah.
Like in the legions, like from our country, if you go at night, you go to the swamps. They're the lights. They will mischieve you because they're a kind of entities or whatever. And they bring you in dangerous places. And people see it. You can see. I mean, it's like reality and religion together. I mean, it's like it's a myth and it's not a myth.
Right.
Yeah. I appreciate what someone said up earlier, and I'll just fill in with this. And this will be my last.
Conversation's getting good now.
There are no aliens. Right? Like, we give names to things, and we're ignorant. We have no idea what we're even saying. That you got all these mythical creatures, things we don't understand. I love that song where the sky is the neighborhood, right? Yeah. The sky is just a neighborhood. Everything is just an ecosystem. There's life everywhere. We can label it and debate about whether it's true or false, and it's just as ignorant as the day is long. Yeah. But last thing I'm going to say, the last thing. That's
what he says now.
You need to read your email. There was a color scheme for this broadcast, and Christine, she read her email. We got the same sweaters, colors on. Y'all don't have the right colors on.
Me and John
Susan and I are wearing black
emails.
Yes.
I see. Y'all
and
got
we were
that
going
whole flannel biker
thing.
Yeah, right. Definitely.
Like Christine and I kind of got the square thing going. Suburban America.
Yeah.
And y'all got that rough cut thing.
I wanted to say about the aliens, right? If everything is source and we're all just pieces of source, then we are the aliens too, and the aliens are us and connected to the same source.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
From
Yeah.
the Big Bang.
We are all manifestations of the one mind.
Yes.
Right.
All of
Absolutely.
us are.
It is.
Which makes
Yep.
which, and the same with that lady you had issue with the whole broadcast, but we'll leave it there.
Oh,
All right.
and I wanted to say, right, bins and stuff, because you know, you ask for things and then like they'll be like, oh, bad stuff happens. But what Christine was saying about manifestation, the way we don't think right. So it's kind of like that. It's more like you have to focus on what you really want.
Mm.
It's not like a good or bad thing. It's, did you set the right intention? Was your intention diluted and you know what I mean? So you couldn't get exactly what you were
Yeah.
asking for. You know what I mean?
The soul, heart, and mind has to be on one line.
In one
Yes.
line.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, folks,
Okay.
I'm going home
Goodbye.
to go to sleep. I'm still in slavery. So
Oh.
I know.
y'all have a
Christine's
wonderful night.
got to wake up in an hour.
Yeah.
I have to go to drive. We'll have a long
Yeah.
drive tomorrow.
Oh
I
gosh.
have to go in the
Poor
Poor
Achterhoek to the sea.
Christine. I
Oh,
know.
Oh, we're sorry, Christina. You know what? You have to tell us that next time so we can stop
Yeah.
being, you know,
was
American
gonna say,
apathetic. We could have went
yeah.
tomorrow. We didn't have to do it tonight.
We're going to have
Let
to
us
find
know.
like a day in a little bit earlier time or something.
Yeah,
And
but
figure
it's
something out.
interesting, and then it's okay. I mean, it's fun.
She enjoys it. She loves us.
Everybody
Yeah, I
else
love
go to bed. That's it. That's it. Y'all have a great night. Great weekend. Thank you for joining in. This is Gerard, Jonathan, Christine, and Susan. Wishing y'all a Merry Christmas and a good night.
Do you wanna, do you wanna, do you wanna, do you wanna break the chains that bind me? 'Cause I wanna break the chains that bind you. Do you wanna set the world free? Have perfect harmony? Isn't it time for that? Do you wanna free, boom, 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 free the people? Do you wanna free, boom, 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 free the people from the bottom to the top? Make modern slavery stop. Do you wanna let go of the prisoners? See everyone happy. We can have this and more if we open up the doors. Well, what do you think about that? Do you wanna free, boom, boom, free the people? Do you wanna free, boom, boom, free the people and Mother Nature too? Close down all the zoos. Do you wanna boom, 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 boom? Do you wanna boom, 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 boom? Do you wanna free, boom, boom, free the people? Do you wanna free, boom, 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 free the people from the bottom to the top?